Well, good evening, everyone. Everyone being all three of you. We're killing it. From your host, Sergeant Friday, with Your Ass Hurts News Network. Brought to you by Sergeant fucking Friday. How y'all doing? How's everyone doing? It's a midweek hump day, almost the end of hump day. We got 3 hours left to hump. I figured I'd come out here and hump the donkey. And well, actually, I'm going to hump me a turkey, the drunk turkey, DT, the ignorant fucking the guy that's trying to commit murder along with the state of Idaho, unjustified murder, based on a bunch of lies and bullshit, of which Steve Gonzalez, however you want to pronounce his name, is the key antagonizer to make sure that Brian Koberger gets murdered, innocent or not. I'm just frustrated with what's been shown to us as the public, and how Steve has come out, and how jerk offs like Drunk Turkey. I don't even think Drunk Turkey can jerk off, to be honest with you. He probably doesn't have much to grab a hold of. He is one of those money grubbing cunts that literally will say anything and join any team if he thinks it's going to get him some kind of popularity or some kind of connection to the mainstream media. Which, just in case Daniel hasn't been checking, since Donald J. Trump re-won the presidency, those networks have taken a shit dive. They're getting 88,000 viewers. Lana gets that many viewers. Anyway, for jerk offs like that'll say anything. And whatever the government of the state says, they're going to come right out and they're going to just repeat and add to it. That's the filthy kind of fucks that we have in our society all over the place. Those are the problem people. People that act as if they know when looking at the same thing that you and I look at. And their conclusion is so out of whack, it's not even funny. Literally not even funny. I'm furious with Steve Gonzalez. I know the guy lost his child and the childhood's best friend and roommates. I know he's been victimized horrifically, but that doesn't give him the ultimate authority to make allegations against a man that's been arrested corruptly. A man that's been arrested corruptly. You don't jump on the side of an FBI that's got to keep what it did secret, because what it did doesn't want the American people to know. You're supposed to be out there, Mr. Gonzalez, pointing this out to the public. Because, if the guy did do it, what the FBI did is a good thing. And it should be legislated. It should be, codified in law. They shouldn't be hiding like a fucking thief in the night, and then you not even bringing it up. They show you images of cars. Here's the thing that bothers me the most with this guy. This, Steve, right to you and the Drunk Turkey piece of shit and others that allow you on their stream. You told us there was blood on a sleeve, but you didn't tell us you meant sheath, that your interpretation of sleeve meant knife sheath. And you let us believe that blood belonged to Brian Koberger, you lying motherfucker. How dare you do that, Steve? Who do you think you are? You lost a child, but that doesn't give you the power to do whatever the fuck you want. And I'm just sick and tired of people running around doing what they want like that. Someone needs to call these jerk-offs out. This isn't an argument about whether Brian Koberger's car was there, because basically there's no evidence that any car was involved in the crime whatsoever, other than Steve and the media and the prosecution trying to make this fucking story and tell us what we're looking at. And I'm tired of people telling me what the fuck I'm looking at. Steve has come forward and suggested that there was a lot more DNA evidence connecting Brian Koberger. Well, no, Steve, there isn't. You just came out, Steve, and said that Brian Koberger was Googling the crime on the morning of the crime before it was ever known publicly. You sycophant motherfucker, Steve. That's not true. He Googled it on the 16th, 3 days after. I mean, what the fuck kind of I don't know. But to me, you lost your daughter. If the truth doesn't matter and anybody will do, then you go stand in front of a fucking firing squad. I mean, who the fuck do you think you are, Steve? And you, Daniel, and News Network and News Nation and these sycophant fucking reporters on TV. Who do you people think you are? Creating a narrative to implicate a man when the narrative isn't any evidence of at all. It's you telling me it's evidence. Well, I don't give a fuck. You can't go into a bank and tell them that you're worth $8 million and get a loan like your friend in New York did, that fat fucking no good piece of shit attorney general in New York. Okay? Lying that she's married to her father, lying on her mortgage applications, yet going ahead and trying to fucking punish Trump for crimes that which she alleges aren't even close to what she did. You people join that fucking crowd of liars? You filthy fucking bastards. I don't get it. How dare you, Steve, push a narrative that is absolutely fucking untrue? You told us early on that Brian's phone connected to their Wi-Fi. You've told us so many fucking lies to impugn this kid that it makes somebody have to wonder, what in the fuck is your motive? What is your fucking motive, Steve? Do you know who kills your daughter? Are you being threatened? Are those people connected to you in any way, shape, or form? Is what your daughter or those young women were doing so bad that it needs to be kept secret to the fact that you allow this kid to be executed? That you're going to come out here and push for him to be executed when law enforcement can't even put together a fucking solid story? They got to lie. Imagine going to a trial where the evidence used to suggest this kid was involved has got to be lied about. And you're okay with that? You media fucking jerk-offs are okay with your government doing that? I don't give a fuck if this kid sliced and diced and barbecued them fucking 4 people. The evidence used to put that guy in jail has to be solid evidence that's based on constitutional fucking limits, and is based in law, and is based on unquestionable fucking evidence. Not some freak fucking show story that you and the media have jumped on. Steve, you're so fucking wrong in what you're doing. It really goes beyond filth. It literally goes beyond filth. It makes no fucking sense whatsoever that you would do what you're doing. Everything you've told us about that crime scene has been a fucking lie. Everything. They needed Hunter to force the door. Bullshit. Bullshit. The door was wide the fuck open, and Dylan looked right in the room and seen this woman dead on the floor and did nothing for 8 hours. Oh, wait, let me correct that. It's okay for Dylan to call people over. It's okay for Dylan to put out there in those school chats and all the other bullshit she was involved with. It's okay for her to let the world fucking know what happened and not call the police. See, that's the sycophant part, Steve. This is what makes you a fucking real fucking dickhead. Same thing with Turkey, that fucking jerk off. What a fucking needle dick motherfucker that guy is. Really? Really? These people are going to play in the fucking internet for 8 hours while your kid's dead in that fucking house? And that's not you don't have a problem with that? Some guy that happens to have a white car good enough for you, shoot him? You sick motherfuckers. Literally sick motherfuckers. I don't get it. This country's falling apart because people don't want to stand up for the truth. People don't want to stand up for right. You tell a person a lie, they just take it and fucking repeat it. You tell the people the truth, they ask you 48,000 fucking questions. You got to prove your fucking truth. But you go ahead and tell the stories you're telling the fucking public, Steve. And every single one of them has been wrong. There wasn't more fucking DNA at that crime scene. How can you as a parent know that there were fucking blood samples of DNA that they ignored? They fucking ignored, and they took the smallest microscopic fucking dust fucking particle of a skin cell and followed that to the fucking moon, to Jupiter, and to the Andromeda fucking galaxy to try to identify it. And then by doing that, they're now going to keep it secret from the fucking jury. They're going to lie about how they got the Koberger's name. Yeah, the lab itself, the lab that did the fucking work on that DNA sample didn't even pull it from the sheath. They were given a fucking cotton swab and told where it came from. And you're okay with that, Steve? Wow. Me, I'd be fucking, I'm mad now and my kid's alive. If this were my kid, there's no way any of this would fucking pass the smell test. There's no way. You keep telling us fucking shit that's not true. And then when it turns out to not be true, you act like, well, I just misunderstood it. No, that's not what you did, you lying motherfucker. They got secret special fucking software. You can't even imagine how they could track your devices. Don't tell me all this fucking horse shit, okay? And serve me a fucking pile of shit and tell me it's fucking ribeye steak. Okay, Steve? I ain't going with you on that. You need to correct all your fucking lies. And once you correct all the lies you've told the public, you're going to have to ask yourself, why the fuck are these people lying to me? And why am I accepting what they're telling me? There's nothing. There's no substantial evidence at all, not even a direct piece of evidence. You were out on the fucking streams the last couple of weeks telling people there's a video of Brian going in the house. You're bringing up cars like Teslas with cameras, you lying fuck. There's no such thing as that. You're allowing somebody to be fucking put on trial, potentially to be executed, and your part in that is assisting that conclusion. You're poisoning the fucking jury pool. Information that should never have been known to the public because it cannot be used at trial, such as the pool party. Okay? The selfies that people took off his fucking phone. That's a crime to be in possession of that shit. You, sir, should be fucking arrested and indicted for having any contact with that. I don't give a fuck if the chief fucking law enforcement officer of the world made you privy to that information. The fact that you shared it makes you both criminals, and you should be fucking incarcerated. I mean, how dare you treat this case the way you've been treating it? And you're the father of one of the victims. That's even worse. Oh, that's not even something you can even describe. How can you do what the fuck you're doing? Be shown that you're wrong and still stay on that train that this kid did it, this kid did it, this kid did it. I'm offended to the degree that you can't even imagine. And then you buddy up with little fucking drunk turkey guys that was humiliated by the mainstream media. Humiliated. That ignorant fucking guy. Humiliated. And who'll say anything that's popular with the mainstream media because he thinks he's going to get himself in cuddly with the mainstream media, which is, just so you know, dying. Nobody trusts the fucking mainstream media anymore. And I'm just stunned. I really thought that Steve would have been more of a patriotic kind of a guy that would be absolutely wanting to see the evidence, right? And that's not how he's turned out to be at all. That's not how he's turned out to be at all. He's really turned out to be kind of a fucked up kind of guy. He don't give a fuck what's said. As long as it incriminates Kohlberger, he'll repeat it. He'll interpret. Listen, I've picked up a lot of women in my life. I've picked up a lot of women on the internet in my life. I've looked at a lot of different fucking porn in my life. You can't judge my character from my fucking intimate fantasies. Whether you agree with the kind of fantasizing other people have or not, it's none of your motherfucking business. You don't come out and impugn this defendant for that. What the fuck is wrong with you? I mean, here's the best part about it, you sycophant motherfucker. When you Google those terms, that kind of porn comes up. You don't have to look at it. You don't have to like it or agree with it. But the fact that it's readily available will probably kind of tell you that it's common fucking fantasies for people. Man, the women I've been with some of the shit they like that. and otherwise, they were just as productive and honest and normal in everyday society as anybody else. So what if she liked to be slapped and fucking choked? So what? That's none of your fucking business, for number one. But number two, that's what sex is. It's mental. That's just what it is. And so who cares? And you're going to impugn this person's integrity that way because he had some searches for fucking porn. You and the media are all going to jump on it. No, that proves he killed your daughter? Really? Then I must have killed your fucking daughter. I must have did it, brother. The fuck? It's insanity what we're witnessing, folks. They're doing the same thing to fucking Karen Reed. They're doing the same thing to that fucking guy, that Allen guy. They're doing the same thing with Brian Kohlberger. This is what it is. This is what it means. And shut the fuck up. Or the interview room. Whoever the fuck those people are. I don't know. I don't listen to them. All of these channels. You're out there. You're terrorizing this fucking guy. And he can't come forward and say a fucking thing. Nobody wants to carry his side of the fucking story. And I can't even say this clearer than clear. But I've said this more than anyone else on the internet. I am not advocating for the innocence of Brian Kohlberger, nor am I advocating for his guilt. I'm advocating for the American judicial system. Fucking innocent till proven fucking guilty. That's the standard. Even if this kid sliced and diced those 4 people, your daughter included, guess what? If there isn't evidence to fucking convict the guy, he walks. That's the sad fucking reality. That's the sad reality. But the founders of your country said, I'd rather free 100 guilty people than imprison one innocent man. Yeah. Yeah, Steve. Where's your common sense of how this is supposed to work? Why is everything you've dumped into the public that's turned Brian Kohlberger into this vicious fucking nasty killer, all the shit that you've told us has all turned out to be untrue? And even worse than untrue. It's one thing for it to be an untruth. It's another thing for it to be exculpatory evidence. Exculpatory evidence, Steve. There is blood on a sheath. Just isn't fucking Brian's. There is blood on a glove. It just isn't fucking Brian's. There is blood on a railing. Just isn't fucking Brian's. There is a footprint outside of Dylan Morton's door. It just isn't fucking Brian's. But you'll take the most microscopic fucking piece of evidence known to humanity, and you'll accept that determination when everything else in that crime scene screams he wasn't there. Others were there. Others were there. Not one person, but others. That crime scene does not show burglary, does not show forced entry. Okay? It does not show any of the things that have been being propagated out online. The doors to the rooms were left wide open. Somebody gained access to those rooms and walked out of them rooms like they lived there, Dylan. Oh, excuse me. Pardon me. I shouldn't say that. Let me quantify it. It's just my opinion. And this is entertainment. And I'm entertained. Whether you people are entertained by it. Maybe you're not entertained by my fucking stream. Fuck you, Steve. I'm entertained by it. And I'm an audience of one as far as I'm concerned. Anybody that comes in on top of me is a benefit. I'm not out here trying to make money. I'm not here trying to buddy up to you. I'm not trying to buddy up to the media or other people with big streams. I don't give a fuck if I got 1 follower or 1 billion. Matters not to me. Matters not to me at all. What matters to me is who did this to these young adults. Why was Dylan Mortensen lying? Why is the 9/11 call staged? You need the answers to that. Those are the things you should be concerned about. Even if Brian Kohlberger did it. Is there a connection between him and Bethany? Him and Dylan? Is there some connection? I'm just so, I can't fucking believe. And then to make it worse is that there's this audience. There's this audience of fucking sycophants out here that think they know something. And I'm telling you right from the jump, I'm definitely smarter than most of the people I've encountered online and in my daily life. And I'm not going to be fucking afraid to point that out. And I'd like to see a piece of evidence that places Brian in the fucking crime scene, not reflections of headlights, not fucking a car that's similar to his. I don't want them telling me the car that left WSU and headed to Moscow was Brian Kohlberger when we now know for a fact that's a fucking lie. And you're not stupid, Steve. Imagine a white 4-door sedan left at 2:47 a.m. and headed towards fucking Moscow. Well, that wasn't Brian Kohlberger. But that's the car that they argue headed towards Moscow. That's the car that they argue is seen on several different cameras. Well, that piece of information tells you right off the fucking jump that it couldn't have been Brian, because Brian's phone really didn't go offline until 2:54 a.m. and it was heading south towards Huawei Park. Basically where the fucking kid told you he went. The kid said right in custody, I was 10 miles from the crime scene when it happened. That places him over in that area of Huawei Park. All of the things that these policemen are trying to tell you or convince you show his involvement are exculpatory pieces of data. And the only reason they fit is because you accept it and you believe it. But there's absolutely no fucking supporting evidence to make what they're telling you real. That car and that fucking video, as argued by many of very intelligent streamers out here, is the same car that's been in that neighborhood since before, during, and after the crime, and it's green. It's lime green. I've looked at a bunch of different people's opinions, and I really don't get into the car arguments. I stayed in the lane thing. But the car that's in that video behaves exactly like a delivery or a drop-off fucking vehicle. There's nobody can dispute that. Goes up, turns around in a parking lot, goes back out. A little while later, comes back into the area. That's exactly what delivery and drop-off people do. The police themselves called it 11 to 13. The fucking police themselves and the FBI wanted to speak to the passenger or passengers of that fucking vehicle. They identified the car to be not Brian Kohlberger's. Judge Hippler needs to be excused. That whole fucking jury pool over there has been poisoned by Steve. There's nothing in any of those videos that you can identify Brian Kohlberger with. Oh, he's got a similar vehicle. Well, let me put you in front of a fucking firing squad for a similar vehicle. The fact that they're going to bring that to present to a jury that they even got to go this fucking far is just mind-numbing to me. You're better off letting this guy go and doing a proper investigation than you are putting this guy up on the risk to get fucking shot and killed. You're promoting his murder is what you're doing, Steve. That's what the fucking, the donkey fucking turkey, the dude there, the drunk donkey, that's what I'm going to call him from now on, the fucking drunk donkey. Unfucking believable. On one hand, you're saying this kid spent all this time in school for the explicit fucking purpose of becoming a criminal, and then he goes to the house 23 times. You know this to be true, Steve, you sycophant motherfucker. Bill Thompson, the prosecutor for the case, said in court to Judge that there was no stalking. The entire probable cause affidavit is a fucking conspiracy theory. Now they're going to suggest he was around the house 23 times? And we know that's not true. He connected to a tower. That's within 100, that services an area within 100 feet of their home. So make that make fucking sense. Make that make fucking sense. It doesn't. And you know it doesn't, Steve. I don't know what the fuck you think you're doing. That Daniel's one. I never liked Daniel from the first time I engaged with him. Same thing with T-Rev and all the people trying to tell me back when I first came around to true crime how great these people were. I don't think he's being paid off at all. To be honest with you, I think if Steve was doing anything, I think Steve was building a fucking case so he can wipe that town out financially. If he's any kind of a fucking smart guy, he would be doing exactly what he was doing, knowing that what he was doing was just living off of the information fed to him by the authorities. And then when the authorities find that they can't convict this guy, and he goes back and sues him for mental fucking distress. Maybe that's what he's doing. I don't think so. I don't think he's that fucking smart. I think he's angry and hateful. I don't blame him for that. But you don't run around pointing fingers at somebody and telling people stories about this person's involvement for them stories only to come out to be untrue. And then you not change your perspective on the fucking issue? How could you live like that, Steve? The fuck? I don't understand that at all. You know, I mean, when you told us he connected to the Wi-Fi, that they had this special software, blase. I mean, on the fucking day Kohlberger was arrested, he said, I wasn't involved. He said, they have my phone. They'll know through my GPS. Hippler needs to be removed. That case needs to be taken out of the state of fucking Iowa and tried in somewhere in Alaska where they haven't heard of it. That's what needs to happen here. This is just fucking beyond understanding. Between the media, between Steve, and between a bunch of these streamers out here. And I don't even want to call them guilters. They're just ignorant motherfuckers. They're ignorant motherfuckers. Where are those same... Oh, man, I don't even want to get into the proof that they're ignorant motherfuckers. They do. They need to bring in... They need to get the whole trial out of that fucking state. Listen, the only perpetrator I would argue would be the people that were at that fucking house that morning. You want to make an argument of an alternative fucking suspect. It's Dylan and Bethany and the people they brought over there. That's your argument right there. What time did she call for her friends to come over? Because I guarantee you, okay, it wasn't 11 fucking 55, 56, 57, or 58 because they called the cops at 11:58. Them people were on the fucking property and knew exactly what had happened in that house for an hour or more before anything was done. And Steve, I'm stunned. I'm just literally stunned that you could be so fucked up. I'm going to put a general invite here in the room. And look at people, if you have a different opinion and it's based on, maybe I'm misinterpreting some of the information, which rarely is the case. But, you know, I'm human too. Yeah, I'm arrogant. Yeah, I'm narcissistic. Yeah, I'm fucked up. But I'm generally smarter than the average fucking bear on many, many, many fucking levels. Oh my God. I'm going to jump into politics real quick. And especially for those that voted for Trump, but more so for those that didn't vote for Trump. I said, and I've said this in streams, I said this when I was doing politics, and I've always understood this to be a truth. Okay? Is that you don't need a gun. You do not need a gun or a bomb to get your opinion across or to solve problems. You do that with trade. You do it with trade. Purely with trade. You see, they say honey gets you more than anything else. And America, being the largest consumer market in the world and being only 4.5% of the world's population, we are mass fucking consumers and producers and recreators and fun goers and hard workers, and we kick ass. I mean, really kick ass. Right? We got a guy in our country that flies rockets to space and lands them motherfuckers. we rock, man. You know what I mean? You could sell your shit here. You could produce your shit here and make tons of money. Have a great life. Raise a good family. Get rid of it. And look, it's trade that does that. That's the weapon that the United States can wield over the world. And they don't have to wield it like a fucking weapon. Just like you see Trump doing. Look what Donald Trump is doing. He's doing exactly what America promises. And America's view of the world should be exactly what he said in Saudi Arabia, which is it's not us to determine your path. It's up to you and your people to determine your path forward. And we will support where and when we can. And we'll work together. That's exactly what is supposed to happen after World War II. And it didn't. And then after the Berlin Wall fell, it didn't. And finally now in 2025, right? So that's what, 75, 80 years after World War II? You finally have somebody that's actually going out and trying to put America and the world on an equal footing and give dignity to everybody else and allow them folks to do business with us and create with us and move forward with us. Okay? And those that choose to be angry, idiot fucking killers and territorial dictatorships will just have to fucking die on the vine because they can't be part of our group. And that's exactly what Trump is assembling. You honestly, for people not to realize the desire that Russia would have, okay, to do business with us is you're just insane. It's incredible what Donald Trump is doing. Listen, it's something I said back in 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, and then I left. And I didn't come back until 2022. And I came back into true crime because of the frustration I have with politics and people in it that are like Daniel and people in it that are like JLR and all of these fucking guilters. The government says jump and you can't even fucking, you find the highest fucking mountain to jump off from, you bunch of twit fucking no brain motherfuckers. You have to question everything your government does, everything your government says. You have to try to understand. How the fuck do you get a job for $175,000 a year and in a few years be worth 8 or 10 fucking million? Can somebody explain that shit to me? That's just there's something happening that's corrupt. There's no other way to explain that. $175,000 in 10 years is 1.75 million. If you spent nothing, right? And yet these people are worth 8, 10, 12 million. How did fucking AOC become a multimillionaire? She was a bartender, became politician. Congratulations. I respect that. But now she's a multimillionaire? From what? Can someone fucking explain that? Shouldn't they be the ones fucking explaining it to us? How dare they? How dare Barack Obama, George Bush, both Bushes? How dare these people? Bidens, and all of these Republicans and all of these Democrats become wonderfully fucking rich because they entered our government. Fuck that shit, man. You need to tell us, you need to be put on a fucking stand, and you need to testify in a deposition under fucking oath exactly how the fuck you did that. And if it can't be verified, or if you lie, then you need to go to fucking jail. That's what needs to happen. You know, it's just incredible. And a lot of Americans aren't stupid. You guys all see this. But I can't stress enough. What you see Trump doing right now around the globe is exactly what America should always have been done. This shouldn't be something new. This should have been how our lives and how we went from, I'm an 80s kid, right? This shouldn't be all of a sudden just being heard now. This is something all the past presidents should have been doing. We don't need to bomb the fucking snot out of you, okay? We just don't. And the only time we need to bomb the snot out of you is when you're an aggressor and you're attacking, like, for instance, the Houthis attacking shipping, trying to shut down the world's oil supply. Fuck them. Right? Take them down. They asked for it, they got it. The Mexican cartels, the Colombian cartels, these terrorist fucking organizations, take them people out. Right? That's what you need to do. And you can empower good people to do good things when they have good things to look forward to. And America is the nation that can be that city on the hill. America is that nation that can offer goodness amongst other men and women without having to put a fucking barrel of a gun on the fucking at your face. And I've got to be very honest with you. I was very skeptical of Donald Trump, but I think the 4 years off did more for him than it did for the country. We took a beating for the last 4 years. And I honestly think that Donald Trump is doing more for the country now in these first 100 days than he would have done if he got 2 terms back to back. If he got 2 terms back to back, what you're seeing today wouldn't have been a reality in those other 4 years. And I really hope people learn that just how ineffectual and how fucking uncared about you are by politicians in general, but specifically the Democratic Party. These people don't give a fuck about us. They care about our money. They care about their wealth. And they care about fucking supporting terrorists. They care about supporting illegal immigrants. They care about feeding them, housing them, clothing them, giving them free medical care, but not you and me. That's a sick and fat fucking party right there. Maybe that's where Steve Goncalves, maybe that's where the fucking, the drunk turkey, maybe that's the point of view of the world that they have. I wonder if they're fucking Democrats, these people, because I think most of you guilters are some sycophant, filthy fucking Democrats. Because it's not about truth and honesty. It's just about control. You want me to see a human being in a situation, you want me to view a man as a woman. Fuck you, man. I ain't doing it. Now, I don't disrespect people that want to change their sex. If you're a man, you want to be a girl, I don't object to that shit at all. I'm like, have at it, man. But don't join our military so that they have to pay for your surgeries. Don't get involved with our government as a service person to the government so that you can get their health care to go get it done for free. I mean, come on. I don't give a fuck if a woman wants to be a guy. That's all about American independence and American freedom. It's none of anybody's business what another person does, so long as they don't infringe upon you. I don't care what color you are, who you pray to, who you worship or don't worship. That's none of my fucking business. Your life is your life. And we need to act respectfully and objectively when we work amongst each other, regardless of what the fuck our view of the world is. I don't want Jehovah's Witnesses knocking on my door or fucking Mormons or fucking what. I just don't. I mean, I respect that they have their views and they live their life that way. My respect isn't leaving them alone. That's respect. It's very fucking simple. And that's exactly what Trump is pushing now when you look at him on the world stage. You know, they're crying. Qatar given our federal government a $400 million fucking airplane. I say take it, man. It's not a gift to Trump personally. It's one nation. What about the Statue of Liberty? Was it okay to take that from France? You sycophant motherfuckers out there that want to complain about what Qatar is offering us? Are you serious? It was fucking okay to take the Statue of Liberty that you people claim is the reason why any fucking jerk off in the world can come here. That's okay. We'll send that back to fucking France then. Really? You can't take the plane from Qatar? The fuck course you can. Of course you can. I guarantee they're all Democrat too. That's who all those that's who that fucking drunk turkey. He's trying to lick the asshole of the fucking mainstream media. And it's just, you're not kidding me with your fucking act and your calm and take your hat off, you bald little dick prick. Same thing with Steve Goncalves. I don't understand that guy at all. I'm very fucking, I wouldn't want him to be my father. Hell no. I just wouldn't. I would want the truth. If Brian did it, I want Brian held accountable. If Brian did it with 3 other people, I want them all held accountable. If 3, 4, 5, 1 or 2, no matter what, other people did it and Brian didn't, those who I want to be held accountable. And look, here's the truth. You may not find who did it, especially now that they ripped the fucking house down, especially now that they've been lying for fucking 3 years almost about this kid. When you go to a pool party and you're the new guy there, and an attractive woman comes up to you and starts talking to you, and you agree to change numbers, and you exchange numbers, and Brian types his fucking phone number into your phone, and he sends himself a text with it. So now he's got your phone number. A few days go by, and Brian he contacts you, and you're busy, your life is moving on as the woman that traded numbers, and you don't get back to him. That's normal. That both of what those two young adults did is normal. Brian didn't. If Brian would have texted her time after time after time after time, if Brian wouldn't have let go, or if Brian would have started being verbally abusive to the woman who isn't returning his texts, now you got a sycophant. But Brian didn't do that. So on what the fuck planet do you live on, Steve, to interpret that as proof he killed your kid? What in the fuck is wrong with you? He takes a selfie. And then, listen, I would have never said anything except the story about him Googling the murders that morning before it was made public. Except that story caught me fucking cold, and I thought, wow. And I waited patiently only to now realize that the story is a fucking lie, that it was 3 days later in the morning that he texted the fucking murders, or he Googled the murders. No different than when you told us about the fucking blood on the sleeve. No different than when you fucking told us there was more DNA and more proof that he was in that house, which is all fake. No different than when you told us about the fucking wireless router that he connected to. Or in fact, that phone had data in there that they can retrieve that nobody even knows exists. You lying motherfucker, Steve. And then when you realize all of these are lies, you don't reset. You don't stop and ask yourself the only fucking question you should ask. Are these people that are investigating the death of my daughter, are they just ignorant motherfuckers? I'm offended for you, Steve. And I'm just, you're trying to send this kid to a fucking firing squad. And you just need to shut the fuck up. But before you shut the fuck up, you need to come forward and list all of the information that you've shared with the public that's turned out to be completely untrue. And apologize to the public that you've shared it with. The public that once they hear it come from your mouth, they never listen for the fucking corrected version. It's fucking bullshit, bro. I want to see a clear image. I want to see a clear fucking electronic connection to Brian's presence in that home. His microscopic fucking DNA collected by people in blue jeans and wind fucking breakers. Some fat fucking broad's hair all over the fucking place, sneezing into her fucking sleeve. That's not who I want investigating a crime scene looking for microscopic fucking data. Do you think you could go into a fucking computer chip room dressed like the FBI, search that fucking house? Are you fucking out of your mind? When you're looking for microscopic evidence, or if you're working in a room that can't have microscopic fucking shit left behind, you have to go in there in the proper attire. You have to do everything possible to mitigate anything being transferred from you to the crime scene. That's how you investigate for transfer DNA. Did they swab the glove, Mr. Gonzalez? Did you ask him on the fucking glove you found blood? Did somebody stick a fucking Q-tip in the glove and swab it around? Did you stick it into every fucking finger? And after you did all of the fucking swabbing, did you then cut that glove open and look and swab it again? How about that shit? How about the railing? Did you fucking cut the railing right out and take that fucking piece of railing with the blood? Did you cut the floor out where there was a footprint? Did you send that to laboratories with fucking all of the microscopic fucking capacity that they committed to a skin cell that they claim came from a button snap that most likely is made of brass? Brass. Which is like putting fucking acid on a piece of paper, bro. Brass cannot support the existence of DNA. It's a murderer of DNA. And those button snaps are made of brass. Man, oh man, I'm just so fucking disgusted. And how many people just accept what the police say and what the fucking state says, and the father of the fucking victim comes out and he parrots what they're saying, and then as he's parroting, he's giving us information that's not accurate, that's untrue, that's proved to be false. Oh my God. Yeah, he is. He's a disgrace to what happened to that young woman. That's his daughter. Wait a minute. There we go. See that? Old Sarge got to do that. He sees a blonde on the screen. Bam! Puts it right up. Sees it in the comments. Good. It's look, this again, I'm not saying Koberger's innocent. I'm just saying that based on what they're sharing with you, because the truth of the matter is, and I've said this many, many times, DNA is circumstantial evidence. Okay? DNA is circumstantial evidence, folks. It's not direct evidence, but it can become direct evidence. It can become direct evidence if you could show the presence of the owner of that DNA. You could show that person's presence at that fucking home. Look at, I'd settle for any time that he was at that house. That would be better than what they have. He was there last Tuesday, was there Saturday, was there any fucking time that he was at that house would be better than what they have right now. Yeah, folks, I smoke. I'm old. I realize. So don't let it stress you. What does Gray Pearl say? Gray Pearl, what'd you say? Gray Pearl. Maybe your volume. Oh. Looks like the state is trying to backtrack. How are they trying to backtrack there, Tanka? Dylan Mortensen's behavior and her story is just, it's just off the fucking wall. You can't hear me there, Angel Tiger? You guys aren't having trouble hearing me, are you? I hope you're not. I'm doing everything I can so that you don't have trouble hearing me. I'm animated. I'm riled up. I'm ranting. I'm sergeant it. What do we got over here? So we do have a couple of people in Rumble. Rumble doesn't really do much for me. Over here in Twitter land, we have 52 people. And over here, hold on. And on YouTube, there's 156 people watching. Now I got a question. I'd like 12 Gauge to get his ass in here. How could 12 Gauge have like 8,500 subscribers and only get like 30 or 40 or 50 views on his fucking live streams? That amazes me that he's got that many followers. And yet he doesn't have that many people in his videos. That's just weird, man. What's the deal with that there, 12 Gauge? You know, I'm trying to gauge your audience versus your totals. I only have 2,500 people. 2,540, I think. And yeah. I don't understand how you can have that many followers and not have that many people in your stream. All right, can you hear me now, Angel Tiger? So they don't get impeached. I missed some of the conversation in the chat. There is a link. You're welcome to come up on StreamYard. You're also welcome to call in if you want me to put a call-in number. I have no horse in this race. The only horse I have in this race is at the Department of Justice on the federal level, and the prosecutors on the state level should come forward with what's fair and equitable and based on law, and not depend. You know, a lot of people are convicted on circumstantial evidence. Well, a lot of those convictions end up getting overturned. Okay? A lot of those convictions and circumstantial evidence, you end up finding that exculpatory evidence was hidden. And here you got a case with 64 fucking terabytes of data. Right? 64 terabytes of data. And Officer Payne himself said that they do not have anything in video or images that would identify Brian Kohlberger in Brian Kohlberger's car. That right there, Steve, should have been enough for you to go down to the fucking police department and say, what are you people doing? Yeah, Dylan Morton wasn't interrogated. She was interviewed. How can that be ignored? And here's the worst part. Look, I understand that Stockholm syndrome. I don't think Steve's suffering from that. But I also don't think that he realizes, and I bet he does know about the chiropractor accused of killing the competitive chiropractor and was framed based on the same data that they're feeding fucking Brian Kohlberger. The exact same way that they're fucking with Kohlberger is the exact same way they tried to convict a chiropractor, a doctor, of murder, and he sued him. It was all fucking bullshit. And some of the same police agencies, some of the same law enforcement officers are involved in this case, Steve, that were involved in that case. And that's just one. That's just fucking one case in Idaho. But murder, nonetheless, a murder case. How do you impugn a guy that got stopped? Look, I'm more animated at a traffic stop than Brian Kohlberger. Can somebody tell me how many dead bodies are attributed to me? Please? Can someone just show me where the dead bodies are? Because I'm animated. I don't like being fucking pulled over for, even if they're right, I don't like being pulled over. Who does, man? I didn't, he behaved perfectly as far as I can tell. The way he interacted at the pool party, perfectly. Now we find out Brian rejected the Asian girl. She didn't have to chase him off because he was a stalker. Brian rejects the Asian girl, and you want me to believe that he was sneaking in her apartment and rearranging her shit. Somebody make that make fucking sense. Are you that fucking stupid, Daniel, and all you guilters, to find out that Kohlberger rejected her, But Koberger was the one sneaking into her apartment, fucking with her and hiding things and moving things and that. How the fuck can you make that make sense? I don't understand. I just can't. I can't understand how fucking stupid people are. He rejected her. Didn't do it violently. Didn't do it viciously. He might have just ghosted her, or she said that she wanted something more, and he just kind of walked away. I mean, that's what maybe not the most gentleman thing to do, but he gets another attractive woman's phone number from the pool party. He's new in the area. That's an exciting thing. Then you try to contact her and she ghosts you. Okay. He handled that perfectly by not fucking engaging with her again. And yet Steve and all of these other assholes out there. Oh, look, he's got pictures of himself wearing dark clothing. So do I. So do you. Who doesn't take selfies? I don't. To be very honest with you, I'm one of them rare people. I don't take pictures of myself. Very rarely will you see it. I don't like it. You see my picture up on the screen there? I'm not real big on video, and I'm not real big on fucking picture. I just never have been, okay? I'm, no, apparently she misplaced her key. And then her key turned up somewhere, which tells me that somebody didn't steal your key, okay? If someone would have taken, she said it, here's the real kicker. She said it happened twice or a few times. And if I took your key, I would go to a local fucking hardware store and get a copy of it and bring the key back right away. I wouldn't take the key and then go to your fucking apartment and then do something in your apartment and bring the key back and put it back in your fucking drawer or something. What kind of fucking jerk off do you think this guy really is? He's got an educational degree that would make Steve and everybody in his fucking family look like stupidity personified. That's the intelligence of Brian fucking Koberger. But he wasn't smart enough to hide his phone on 23 trips to fucking Moscow where he went and got his fucking groceries or did what he did or hung out with his friends. He didn't fucking keep his phone home because he was planning to kill these fucking 4 girls. But he took his phone with him 23 fucking times. And then on the night of the crime, he was like, oh, oops, I'll just turn it off. For fuck's sakes, bro. None of this makes any sense. And for people to try to make it make sense, if they accept it makes sense, it just shows how fucking down the ignorance scale this country has gone. The ignorance of people is over fucking whelming. Ladies, if I interact with you and ask you for your phone number and we trade phone numbers, and then a day or two, a week, whatever, I communicate with you and you don't communicate back and I let it go, isn't that a wonderful fucking encounter? A lot of women are afraid to give a guy a phone number because they're afraid the guy's going to fucking stalk them. Admit it, ladies. He's not your type. You don't want to lead him on. There's a billion fucking reasons why you don't give a guy a phone number, but one of them is definitely awesome or definitely true that a woman won't, if she doesn't feel safe or comfortable around you, she is not going to give you her fucking phone number, no matter how friendly she may appear to you in person. And yet this woman was comfortable with that. She handed him his phone. He typed in his phone number and then he sent himself a text message to get her phone number. She had no fucking problem with that. And Steve, you want me to believe that interaction shows that he's a sycophant? You stupid motherfucker. Maybe you wouldn't have let that go. Okay? Payne got the drive from the FBI. But she didn't. She literally handed him his phone and she saw him text himself her number. Right? A woman will give a fake if she feels like it's going to take the pressure off. Right? Listen, I've been rejected. I'm not Casanova. I'm Sergeant fucking Frankie. I get it. I've been rejected by women. Absolutely. I think that girl like Brian, the one that gave him a ride to go buy drugs. I don't know any girl that gave Brian a ride to go buy drugs. Who's the girl that gave Brian Koberger a ride to go buy drugs? As far as we know, Brian Koberger wasn't doing drugs. Steve G isn't. He is obstructing justice. He absolutely is. Hey, Thomas Sharp, says Suze. So, somebody said something. What did they say here? Who's the girl that gave him a ride to go buy drugs? Where does that come from, Beckles? What girl gave him a ride to go buy drugs? Is that something Steve G said? Is that something Daniel from the Drunk Turkey Show said, or these other sycophants out there? I'm not picking on you, and I'm not going to attack you. Where did you get this? I think that girl, like Brian, the one that gave him a ride to go buy drugs. Has anybody heard of this before? It's the first time I'm hearing it. Yeah, I tease girls in here, and I, you know, I mean, there's some very attractive women have come through this stream. Damn, who said that? And yeah, I do put their pictures up on the wall. Oh, Gray Pearl. Look at Gray with them big glasses. She looking at you. Where in the high school when she drove? Were they? I don't know. It was years ago. Well, then it's not relevant to the case, right? And that's another important piece of information. And I do want to give the is it Lana or Laney? Is it Lana? Spelled backwards? Or is it Laney? Is it Lana or is it Lana? Lana spelled backwards is anal. I want to give her credit because she's right. This evidence that you're hearing, the stories that you're hearing is information, folks, that can't be admitted at trial because it's not connected. Just like the cop, they didn't let the video for the traffic stop come in. Okay. Let's see here. We're going back to Jilly Bean. She went to a wedding with Brian. How long ago did she go to a wedding with Brian? How long ago was that? Years and years ago, folks. Lana, ANAL. That's right. That's her name, Lana. Just spell it backwards. Watch out. Banana Lana, Lana, whatever. Banana Lana. Yeah. I'm not going to call her. I'm going to call her anal from now on. She's anal. Oh my God. Here's a link for your crazos out there. So I'm going to jump up in here. Help steer Sarge to the truth. Bring me some wisdom. Bring Steve G in here. Maybe he's got a perspective that I just can't get my head around because I'm stupid. That could be it too. Steve could be 1,000 times smarter than me. Daniel too. Don't ask me how that could be, but I guess it's fucking possible in some fucking multiverse universe. It's got to be, right? From 2013. Yeah, so you're talking fucking 12 years ago when he was doing drugs, which he recovered from, which he lost weight there forward, changed his diet. Lana. I don't care how she says it. Banana. Lana. There is no wisdom in this case, says Thomas Sharp. And you can't deny that. There just isn't. A Curious Rose. Let's see. I'm going to go through here. Oh, wait a minute. Here's someone I haven't highlighted in a while. There it is. Miss W. Carl's woman. You two on the way to Las Vegas to get hooked. My dog is smarter than the drunk turkey. I don't doubt that. I doubt anybody's pet dog. But let me just say something. He thinks he's smart because what he's doing is he's doing it intentionally. And his intention is to become somebody as far as a streamer or a big producer of money. That's his goal. That's all he cares about. And that's, I make a lot of money, but I care about the people I interact with that I make it from. I literally care. Not because I'm worried about what people will say about me, not for these superficial fucking things, but because they come to me for a service that I provide as a business, and I care that they get what they pay for because it's my word. That's what I've said I was going to do, and I only employ people that are capable of doing it. And we rarely, I mean, in 30 years, I've got one complaint, and it was a complaint from a client that I didn't do the work for. Imagine that. Yeah. He never did my roof. Well, the story was, I'm not going to tell you the story, but there was a legitimate reason I didn't do his roof. I mean, what kind of a complaint is that? It's not even really a complaint when you get right down to it. And since I don't take anybody's money until the work is complete, I don't give a fuck if it's 100,000 or if it's 1,000. Nothing till I'm done. Me not doing your roof didn't cost you a fucking penny, and you didn't lose any sleep over it, right? Just go hire someone else. End of story. Okay, Great Pearl. What do you got going on over there? Great Pearl. Are you having problems with your mic? Great Pearl. Well, we do have a guest on the show. It's the quietest guest that I've had in a long time. And that's very contrary to who the person is from my personal experience. Very, very not a quiet person. But let me see here. Unmute. I can't unmute you because they choose to mute themselves. Huh. She muted herself. Uh-oh, now she's out. Remove that one. Add this one to stage. Yeah, she's still muted. I don't know. She has technical difficulties with her equipment. As far as I can tell, my equipment, it works rather well. Oh, man. That just sounded weird, didn't it? You perverts. Bunch of perverts. Let's see here. It's not even, I don't even want to call them.
Can you hear me?
They're about time. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hold on.
Uh-oh, something happened. Hang on. Okay, there we are. How can't you hear me? If only anyone had the same moral compass as you. I've never seen such a grimy group of people. You know, that's the funny thing. I do have a very, very strong moral compass. And I do use very colorful fucking language. But my moral compass isn't something I impose on others. And my moral compass isn't like some high and mighty fucking boo. It's just decency, fairness, honesty. It's not that fucking hard, man. That is probably the dumbest thing I ever said. But I said in the multiverse, in a multiverse universe, he may be smarter than me in one of the multiverses, which are infinite. And now that we brought that up, I just want to say, it happened again, folks. And Grok confirmed that on April 26, 2025, I engaged that artificial intelligence, which is a joke to be calling it that, with the idea of the vast darkness of space, which there's more darkness of space than there is anything else in the universe. And I engaged Grok on the theory that dark space is simply dark light. And it confirmed to me, because another group of scientists are coming forward with an extremely similar concept. It'll be the second time. So on April 26th, I came forward with dark light and I discussed it with Grok. On March 7th, negative light came forward. And on March 12th, a separate, completely different article connected to quantum physics and darkness came forward. Oh, happy birthday, Jilly Bean. And so I was concerned. I wasn't concerned. I was curious. And I asked Grok how often he's engaged in that conversation of dark, not dark matter or dark energy. I want to be clear. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the vast darkness of space as a whole as being dark light. And they've come out with negative protons, which would be dark light. Now they're understanding that there's negative light. They've made light a solid. And all of this stuff came to it was making light a solid. I want to be honest. That got my brain on the track of darkness being the opposite of light, but being the opposite of light, why can't it be dark light? You see how simple that is? And that thought came to me, and I started brainstorming it with Grok since April 26th of this year. But I've been actually working with Grok for about a month and a half or 2 months to try to come to an understanding of the theory of everything, including an understanding of gravity that goes beyond a theory. That's kind of where we are now in our conversation when it comes to dark light and gravity itself. Gravity, I think, is going to support my argument of dark light and my argument that space can't be empty. The space is full of something that we don't have the capacity to identify yet. But that's what we really need to focus looking on. Anyway, so I do go off into a whole bunch of different topics. Sometimes when you don't see me streaming here, it's because I'm really going back and forth with that fucking machine and Grok 3. I've had enough of Grok 3 already. I paid a membership, cost me $420 for the year. And it's only as smart as the access it has to information. And even it questions the information it uses to support its argument against me. It's kind of interesting. So, yeah, to me, that's entertainment. Especially at night when I don't have anything planned. There you are. Where the hell you been? You've been in here for like an hour. What?
Technical difficulties, apparently.
Oh, boy. What is it with women and technical difficulties when they're around me?
I don't know. I'm having a hell of a time. But anyway,
all right,
I'm here.
Take the floor.
No, I came up to just kind of to keep you company. I don't really have much to, I'm sure I could get motivated, but no, I came up to just kind of keep you company.
Oh, okay. Well, company is good. I don't mind company.
Yeah.
You bring anything with you? Well,
just my wine.
I have drinks.
I have
drinks or something. You want a cigarette?
No,
what do you need?
I'm good. I'm self-serving. I'm good. I've got my wine. I got my smokes. Ready to chime in when it strikes.
So what do you think of my rant against Mr. Steve? You think I'm unjustified in making that?
Honestly, I'm not nearly as invested as I was, a year or so ago. But from the pieces that I have gathered, yeah, I think it's totally justified. There's something weird going on. Like, I've always thought that he was there and was involved, but I've never thought that he did it alone.
What, Brian himself, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even get my head around that, to be honest with you. I wish they would show me one thing that would make that argument that isn't microscopic DNA.
Yeah.
And that would be helpful, but it's all the other samples they ignored to identify.
Well, and hey,
go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say, like, if he did do it, and this is the best that the state can do, then people are not gonna like it, but then he deserves to get off. Like, they've done a shitty job from jump. So I don't know.
Well, I don't even know if it's a matter of deserve. I don't really look at it as that. I just say that there's a process, and that process is supposed to bring information that puts beyond a reasonable doubt this person did it, and nobody can say that he wielded a knife. I'm going to be stunned if they show evidence of him buying a sheath and it's a generic Walmart type sheath that he bought off of Amazon. Right? It's not a U.S. Marine Corps, blah, 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 as they've described it so many fucking times. If it's just a basic sheet, now what?
Well, didn't they say, and I know you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they say that he did search afterwards on Amazon to buy a Marine K-bar sheath?
He probably went and looked up to see what it was.
Well, that's what that would have been my argument as well. Is like, yeah, afterwards,
after knowing the case, I don't know when that information was released. How early on did we know about
I looked up a K-bar knife.
I don't know. They were stabbed to death, right? So I don't know. Does anybody know the earliest date that we were made aware that it was a K-bar they were, or did that come only after the PCA? And was his searches prior to it? That could have some bearing. But again, it could also be if they found a knife in a sheath out in Pennsylvania, did he bring it home, or was that stuff always there with his gun? Yeah. They found 3 knives in Pennsylvania. One of them they only describe as a knife. Why didn't they identify what type of knife that is? They identified the other two. One was a filleting knife with a sheath. The other was a folding type knife, and the third knife they simply called knife. Well, why would you identify two of the three knives? And to me, based on what we've watched them do, it's because that third knife is a K-bar.
Yeah,
And they didn't
probably.
want to list they found that in the possession of Brian Koberger at his
Hmm.
home in Pennsylvania because they want to impugn the guy as the doer, right?
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but if I had to guess, just like they're guessing that that's him in the car, and their convoluted arguments about his phone and his location, there's nothing to support the points they're making, and they keep harping on him, and then the father keeps coming out and trying to tell you that these things are conclusive, these are undeniable, and everything he shared with us that he wasn't supposed to share, or everything he's alluded
Hmm.
to put Koberger in that home has been a mistruth, a
Yeah.
lie.
Well, I know you don't go by this like uh you go by facts, just the facts, spam. Um, you don't go by beliefs or things like that. But for four very uh active members of the Greek people at college and seniors graduating with bright futures, for all four of them to get slayed in that, like, there has to be something bigger. And the only other thing that or the only thing that has come out is the possibility of some type of drug uh, dealing situation. And I don't know, maybe it's bigger, maybe it does
Yeah,
go
I yeah,
to
I don't I
other.
yeah, you're right.
I
I
know
don't
you
like
don't.
I
I know
don't,
you don't.
but it
But
could be
what
any
other
number. It
reason
could
would
be
he
any
have
number of
not to?
things.
What other reason would he have to want to pin
Well,
it
why
on
did
this guy
somebody
so
carve?
bad?
Why would somebody carve in Ethan's legs? And I don't know if that's Cluminati incognito, but damn, Clue, yeah, something
What do you
changed.
mean? Where's Clubinati Incognito? What are you
Look
talking
at
about?
it on the screen, Mister Cluminati incognito. I'm like, damn, bring it.
Oh,
It don't look like
oh
Clue, nor
shit.
does it look like Cletus.
Nope, sure don't.
No, it's a
Mr.
third type of
Clubinati
Cluminati. I'm down with
Incognito
it. Bring
will
it.
tell that sort.
All right, so listen.
I think, yeah,
Why did the person sit in a chair and leave blood behind? Yet none of that got into his car.
yeah,
I mean,
that's improbable at best.
it's not. It's because that car wasn't involved in the crime. I mean, you can't find a crime sample in a vehicle that
Mm,
wasn't part of the crime, obviously, right?
yeah,
So if you commit a crime in a Ford Thunderbird and I search a Ford LTD and I come up with nothing, there should be no surprise. I searched the wrong car.
yeah. Like I said, sir, I really don't have a lot of arguments for you. I haven't kept up with it, and I know that you have. I'm here to keep you company. So
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
know.
just I
I know
just
you're
think.
used to me being a little more feisty, but I just don't have it in me tonight. I don't know.
Oh, that's all
I,
right.
I agree with you. I think you're right.
Mr. Cluminati is out looking for chumps. I don't know who Mr. Cluminati is. I've never seen that name on here. Or maybe it's Ben, and I don't think it's connected to
Well,
Cletus or Clue.
I think it's a stupid drama
A
BJ
troller.
related thing. Yeah, yeah, they think that Cletus has like 95 troll accounts under all different names when you know he doesn't. He
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
it's not worth it.
I wouldn't doubt that he does have a couple of them. No offense.
I'm sure maybe one or two, but not.
I've got just this one. I don't. Yeah, I
There's
don't.
a.
I,
Have you ever seen Vibrator? The chatter vibrator.
no, not that I'm aware of.
Okay, well, he's been around forever. He's been on panels. We've heard him talk. Like, we all know him in chat. And literally, like, last week, BJ's panel went off, and they're like, "Vibrator, that's Cletus. That's Cletus." Da, da, da," and we're all laughing, like, you are so fucking
DJ.
stupid.
You mean
Like,
who's BJ?
yeah, it Brittany Jane or Brittany J.
Oh,
That's why I
yeah, I
said it
don't live.
wasn't worth. That's why I said it wasn't really worth it going into. But yeah, I think that's where that name stems from.
Yeah, I don't have a second. I don't have a second account. I don't troll anybody. I put myself out there. I go in their comments. I'll hit them up.
I do. I'm the same way,
I'll
except you know
contact
what?
them through email.
I do have one alt account, and do you want to know why? You'll get a kick out of it. I think.
Why?
Say yes, Gray. I want to know why.
I want to know why. Not really, but go ahead.
um, when Truth, aka Fathead, started his channel a year ago, um, I was like one of his first subscribers because he was in clues all the time. You remember
Yeah, yeah,
you,
yeah.
him, Sarge, all that. Um, and I was his sub for like I don't know the first month, and I don't know what happened. I have no recollection. I've decided to block it out of my memory, but something happened where I pissed him off so bad that he blocked me, and his channel was brand new, and everybody was in there chatting, and I'm like telling Clue, I'm like, please have him unblock me. I don't even know what happened. What happened? That motherfucker would not unblock me. It was like 6 months later. So I finally made my very first alt account, and it still had Gray Pearl in the name because like I don't get the whole alt thing and going. I mean, if you really want to troll somebody, I guess it's okay. But yeah, I don't do the alt thing except for Elevated Truth. He left me no choice.
Well, he and I get along, but I say things because I believe in free speech,
Mhm.
and some of the things I say are offensive to people. It's not my intent to offend, and your feelings are. Look at, it's okay to be offended, right? I mean, what? Oh, I'm offended. Oh my God, calling the
Yeah,
police, right? I mean, I can be an offensive person, intentionally or unintentionally, and so I've made comments and statements and used words that he finds offensive, and I don't apologize for it.
yeah.
These, especially when I'm talking about history, when I talk about how American blacks were treated in the 50s and the 60s, and the language that they used when you're talking about that history should be applied so that you clearly understand how Americans viewed other Americans of a different color. And that's changed significantly over time. But I mean, when you talk about that period of time, there's words used then that I think need to be part of the story,
I can agree
or
with that.
the story isn't real. You know.
Yeah, I can agree with that because I have a
And
lot of my cousins that I'm very close with are a generation or two above me, and it was different for them than it was for me. Like I don't feel like I grew up in a racist world. I don't. And then somehow like when I became an adult, like somehow now the world is racist. What? Like it
yeah,
wasn't racist in the 80s. Like
not
we
even
were
close.
we were
Or the
getting
90s.
past that shit, or the 90s, or like we were past that shit. Why are you bringing it back now? It's kind of how I feel.
Yeah.
But
No, but I really I dig deep and I look into different events in the history, and it's shaped. And what we're seeing now is, and it's very clear to me that the people that run the Democratic Party are the same KKK that ran it before. No,
mhm,
nothing's changed. They just dress different. And
yeah,
that's obvious. They destroyed the cities. They took all the opportunity away from Black Americans. They've named them African Americans, which to me is an insult. They're not African. They're American. They've been here since the 1400s.
mhm,
Some blacks in this country have a history that goes all the way back to the first boat that landed here, right?
yeah,
And most European Americans only go back to the 1900s. I mean, we were here before then, don't get me wrong, but in the numbers that we became, most of that immigration came in with the Titanic and all these big cruise ships bringing all
mhm.
these immigrants across the oceans. Um,
That's how my family got here.
from the middle of the 1800s, when that ice age was kicking forward, is where you got all the European immigration. So you've got family histories with a couple hundred years. Some white families go all the way back to the Mayflower, but the majority of the people that have been here the longest are Black Americans, and it's insulting to me to call them African first. I
Well,
think that's the most offensive word on earth. African American. No, motherfucker, they're African. I'm sorry, they're American, pure.
yeah, mhm.
Hundreds of years of breeding. What does that make you? Yeah, so stuff like that.
No,
I
I
get a
agree
little
with you.
triggered.
No, I agree with you. And I know I'm not going to articulate this well because apparently words are hard tonight. But it's kind of the same thing, like because of the ignorance of most of society, like you say, like African American, and you may be labeling someone that based on their skin color, and they may be Jamaican. They're not
They're
African at
yeah,
all.
they're American as far as
You
well,
know
yeah.
what I
But again,
mean? Like, yeah, their roots are
we're
in
all
Jamaica, but
Americans,
they're
and
American.
I don't
Exactly.
identify as Italian American,
Yeah.
right? They did when they
Hmm.
first came over, but preceding generations from that group, are American. So if your great grandparents came from Europe, they could have been Yugoslavian Americans. They
Hmm.
became American. They're Yugoslavian naturalization. They were born there. They came here. They then did the stuff to become American, and then their children were born in America, making their children completely American.
Yep.
That's nation of origin. That's what nationality means, and
Hmm.
I think
I'm
it's
actually
it's, it's
I'm an Irish citizen, actually, and an American. How about that?
calling Trump.
You don't care.
I'm telling Trump. I'm
No,
English,
that
Irish,
means
and Italian.
I'm American, but that also means there were two generations in my family. Um,
I'm English, Irish, and Italian. So
anyway.
I'm the politest, most angry, violent drunk you'll ever meet. That's why I don't drink. I haven't drank. I haven't drank in 30 years.
I know your story. Come on
Yeah,
now. You act
what
like
the
we're
hell?
strangers. Who are you talking to?
I'm a strange.
You are strange.
Yeah. So what is the deal with this Cluminati incognito?
I don't know. That's
You
oh,
should
don't.
come up,
I'm
click on
just
the link,
surmising. Yeah, tell them to
click
click.
on the link,
Yeah,
come in
let's
here,
chat.
tell us about yourself there,
Come on.
incognito.
Somebody else come, or even anybody. Somebody
Grow a
come up.
pair. Somebody get a pair.
Somebody come up and talk with us.
Thomas Sharp is a happy drunk. Some people are happy drunk. Yeah, I'm happy every day. I really am very grateful. I'm happy. I've got a good life. I don't want for anything or desire things out of my own grasp. And yeah,
Did you
like
open your pool yet?
I still haven't put the new liner in it.
No.
Otherwise, it would be open. But the liner went bad, so I can't even call it a pool anymore because it doesn't hold water.
Well, get yourself and get some. Is it
Na-
you have vinyl lined or gunite?
No, it's final, and it's above ground.
Mm,
Trump is right. Native Americans aren't U.S. citizens. See, a lot of people don't understand how
they're
that works.
sovereign.
No, they're tribal.
No,
They're, in other words, they belong to a nation of name an Indian nation, and then you look at their reservations where they're independent land. Like in New York, there's you can go buy cigarettes on the Indians' land for $3 a pack. You go to an American store nearby, it's $15 a pack. But they're sovereign nations. They're not American. So he is right, and usually Trump says stuff like that because I think he intentionally wants to piss people off. But in specifics, he's making an accurate statement. Just because the family of an American is native to the land doesn't make them American. They could be. Okay. They can be American. They could have walked away from the tribe and set up camp in Daytona, Florida, and their families generationally been born and raised in American land in Daytona, Florida. They're American citizens. But that isn't true for all Native Americans. Native to the land, let me put it that way. I think this land was never called America until the Europeans discovered it. It was, I don't know what the hell they called it. I don't think they called it anything. And it was constantly at war before the Europeans ever showed up here. Scalping of people was going on long before there was ever a white man set foot here. Same with South America, Mexico, North America, Canada. All of these areas were under conflict and strife, and those tribes and those different civilizations, like the Mayans, they expanded and conquered their neighbors and built roads like the Romans did. So, that's the funny thing with history is it really isn't what they've been trying to convince Americans for so long how evil we are. We came here and killed these people. Well, that wasn't why we came here. We came here for spice and went the wrong way. If you want to be really honest about it, that's Columbus was looking for a different way to get to India for spices. Some fuck went left at Albuquerque and ended up in America. Oh man.
mm,
So yeah, we didn't come here with the intent to kill people. That's just ludicrous. And these people, when we came here, rightly so, didn't want us here. It was their land, in their opinion, and then we fought for it and we took it. That's how the world was shaped. When you look at a map, you look at a globe, all those lines that separate nations are nations. They agreed that was whatever fight they had, that's where it all ended. So
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Ancient, they've twisted it to try to teach modern day kids that we're evil. We killed all these.
No, I
Yeah.
believe that because yeah, the narrative has definitely shifted. I think my kid, who just this Saturday graduated from college, summa cum laude. Whoop, whoop.
Awesome.
Um, yeah, I think I totally feel like she got out of high school just in time. Like after her, like she was still in high, she was able to graduate after COVID. Like I think it was her freshman year that COVID hit.
Hmm.
So by junior year, she was back in school. Um, or maybe it was junior year. I don't remember. But anyway, she was one of the first classes to go back after, everything reopened. Um, and it just seems like after that, like the kids and the youth, like they're so different and they're so, I don't know.
Well,
It's
they
yeah.
need to get rid of the Department of Education. It shouldn't be federally mandated that you teach kids this or you don't get any funding. Leave the funding where it came from. Let the states work it out themselves. I mean, there's some states like you go where you live around the place where you got Elon's factory or you got a car factory or you got a whatever the business might be that dominates an area, right? And you
Mhm.
want that taught in your school. You would like to have shop class because General Motors or Ford might be 2 miles away.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but you may not want to teach that in Southern California or wherever all the computer industry is, right? You
Mhm.
want to teach coding there.
Right.
So that needs to be done based on region, based on population, based on the reality was on the ground. What opportunities exist and how can you get them to grow or expand into a different way? And you
That
can't
makes
do that
sense,
from
but
one
that's a
federal.
very futuristic view,
No,
though.
that's the way education was designed originally. And the federal government got involved and changed all of that. They turned it into a propagandizing machine. And that's the problem. That's why kids think America's bad. These books, they put porn in these books for these youngsters are seeing and my
Yeah, I
my
can't get
nephew was
that infuriates me.
I
I
think he
can't
was
even go
11
there.
years old and there was a test that he had to go home with. He was 11 years old and a question on the test was how many blowjobs have you had?
Oh my God. Oh
How does
my
a teacher
God.
put that on a test?
No, that's disgusting to me.
Yeah,
No. And it's going to trigger all kinds of other controversial
yeah.
opinions I have in my head
My,
about
my sister got that teacher fired.
transgenders and everything else. I feel like
Yeah.
it's
And all of that could be
it's all
part
a
of America.
narrative.
Yeah.
It's all propaganda, like you said. It's poisoning or it's disgusting. Yeah.
Why, if you're so important, here's the other thing too, and this is probably a good question and a solution. If you're men that want to be women and you go through the surgical process to become a woman, why don't you have your own soccer team,
Yeah.
volleyball team, racing team, fighting team? Why don't you guys represent your own community of people?
Have
Because
you ha-
I think that would be fair. Not to suggest that they're women or they're men. They're
mm,
neither or, right? Or they're a little of both. So why don't they have their own teams and they compete amongst each other, just like women compete amongst each other, men compete, and you don't mix that. You
right.
you you don't put the best woman boxer in with the best male boxer; he'll kill her,
Mm-mm.
right?
But
So
but
why not just have boxing amongst yourselves as transgenders, right?
but take it out of the whole sports thing. Take that whole thing out. To be someone who feels that they were born into the wrong gender body, you
Right,
desire what the other gender has, right? Like men who feel that they were born into a woman's body desire titties
right.
and nice legs and all that stuff. Like, and I'm kind of, I don't know if you've ever heard of Blair White, but you should. She's the most right wing trans person ever, and she's so fed up with all of this agenda and all of these other like ever since Caitlyn Jenner, it's become trendy. Like I remember when become being a lesbian was trendy in the 90s. Like girls would hook up with
Right.
other girls at the bar because it was trendy. And the commercials on TV suddenly started showing same-sex couples everywhere and whatever. And like that's fine. Like that's fine. Um and it's like society learned and realized like yeah there's no difference like who the fuck cares who you sleep with like and we accepted that but they keep taking it to the next level because once we accepted that, then it's like trans. Our
Well,
kids,
you give
if they
people an inch,
feel
they take a mile. It's no different,
yeah,
right?
and I do believe
But
that there
let
are
me point
people
out
that are
too. Didn't
born and just let me finish my thought. I do believe that there are people that are born um the wrong gender in the wrong body. I absolutely believe that, but I believe it is such a small percentage, like less than 1% probably, that actually have true gender dysphoria. And once Caitlyn Jenner did it, it became popular and it became the thing, and
ain't
everybody's into
popular.
their feelings and their fifis and
How many
oh, I feel like I
Hollywood
should be a
actors have
boy,
kids?
so let me cut off my tits. Like,
Well,
no, no,
the most prominent area is the Hollywood actors, and all of their kids
absolutely.
have that dysphoria, right?
Absolutely.
But
That's
was
what I'm
it taught
saying.
to them? Was it
It's
taught to them, or were they
propaganda. It's an
born that
agenda.
way?
I'm
Yeah,
with you.
yeah, yeah.
No, no, it's no. They weren't born that way. It was
But again, I don't think we should deny people that that's what America's about, freedom. And if science exists that can give me
100%.
wings to fly, you don't gotta like it that I can fly with wings. If I can afford to put wings on my back to let me fly, leave me the fuck alone,
100%. But
right? And yeah, Carl sees his mental retardation. That's fine, so long as you don't infringe upon
I
the
hate
person
when
you
I'm on
consider
panels
retarded.
because I can't ever see the chat.
Oh,
Carl,
why
get your
can't you
ass
see
up
it?
here. Because I'm on StreamYard on my phone, and every time I try to, I drop myself. But I think Carl or Heidi or Heather or
Heather never
who am
comes up. She's got no
come
balls.
on, people. Where are my
No,
people? I'll
Heather's
be
got some.
quiet. I came up just for support. We need someone
Heather
else to
got
come
no.
up.
Heather got no game for some reason.
Heather, my sister from another Fitz. Come on, girl.
She got no game. That's what I'm saying.
She does.
Oh man, what do we got over here? I was looking, so I got 88 views over at what do you call it there?
I
X.
much
X.
preferred when you were more reliable, Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Yaw
Yeah,
News.
well, I kind of my co-host for whatever reason was other things were happening. He had a
I
lot of
know.
interruptions,
It's having
and I've been
puppies and
spending a lot
shit.
of time. I do I do enjoy my mind, and I do use my mind in different areas of many different things in this world.
I enjoy your mind as well. So
And so I do find a lot of entertainment, and I enjoy a lot of different books. And lately, I've been especially enamored by discussing and coming up with information that's provided to me by Elon Musk's Grok 3. I don't know why he calls it Grok. It's just a weird name. But anyway,
I
he
know
needs to come
nothing
up with
about that. I'll have
it's
to
an they
rewind and
call it
listen.
AI. Yeah, it's not
Oh, I know about AI. Yeah. My boss is oh my God, he's so into AI. And I'm like, dude, you're gonna like I'm not gonna have a job in a year if you keep doing this. But
no, but
takes courses
that's
like it's
I've got a
crazy.
solution for that, and
I'm
I'd
all
like to
ears.
offer it to Elon. Here's the solution. What the government should do is place a grant for every newborn child in America that's an American citizen. And that grant would be applied to the purchase of a robot that will perform a specific task and earn income. Okay. And
Mm,
as the child is developing and as the child grows and the child's seeking out its education, the child can either bring the robot along with it and let it become to practice medicine or to be a mechanic. And the robot can actually do these things and earn money that would benefit the child. And once the child becomes an adult, right? So now it's accumulated this earnings from the robot. It could either then separate and go out and be a human worker with human skills and education, or it can add more robots to its repertoire. And an individual can then have no limit on what. So you can have a robot that puts parts on cars at Ford, and you can have a robot that works at the rocket factory for Elon, and you can have a robot that works in a not-for-profit to help people, right? And
yeah, I'm
it's
following.
that birth, the initial birth where the robot is first produced and given to the child. Cost covered by taxpayers. This way, as we move forward into technology and robotics, people won't be asking or won't be in a situation or the threat of losing your job to a machine wouldn't be a threat because the machine would be personally owned and directed into what talents it can perform and can't, you know what I mean? And you would
Mhm.
benefit from that as if you did it yourself. I know someone say it's a terrible idea. I think that's a wonderful idea. I think we should free ourselves from hard
I
manual labor.
Yes,
right?
I do too. I think that everything is so unknown, right? Like it's the beginning
Right.
stages, right? Like you can easily ask an AI to make you a thumbnail of, you know, your favorite or least favorite creator looking better than they are, worse than they are, or whatever. Like you can ask AI to do all kinds of stuff, but until you want it to perform tasks that can replicate humans as far as
Well, they're doing it now.
complicated things like, well, no, like marketing campaigns and all that stuff,
AI
there's
does that now.
certainly, absolutely they do, but
Right.
my point is you can't just go to chat gpt and type in some, like, you have to know the questions that you type, you have to know what to ask it to get the results that you want. Like we have used it at my job to for very complex things, very complex, but it's been a challenge because if you don't ask it the right questions and if you don't word it the right way, you're not going to get the most accurate results, right? Because it's in the
Yeah,
very
but the same
beginning.
applies for a human worker. The same
True,
failings would apply to a human worker. But
true,
imagine
but there's
if that's
higher
your listen,
expectations out of a
but if
robot, don't you
that's your
think?
expertise advertising, you train and work with your robot to represent you. Right. And so rather than you being at the workplace while the robot is doing what you would naturally be doing 8 hours a day, you could spend your time doing anything you could possibly dream of.
No, no,
Right.
I
That would be
understand that
awesome.
you're, yeah, it would. That's a fantastic idea. My counterpoint, I guess, is that in the future, yes, that's a fantastic idea, but we're in like the scariest part of it, right? We're in the early beginning stages where you can, like I said, you can type in superficial things like, oh, make me a thumbnail of a gray-haired woman holding a bullhorn taunting missing child's parents, right? And they'll generate you an image. Or you can say something like, uh, write me a letter of recommendation for this job that I want, right? And you'll get a letter. But if you want to put something complex in, like, hey, every time a, like if you're in sales, for instance, every time a new lead comes into our CRM, I want you to take that lead and I want you to generate its home value and I want you to provide a Zillow link and I want you to sort through the pictures and see if there's any pictures that have, you know, uh, roof damage. Like AI can totally do that, but you have to know the right way to ask the question. Now, like my point is we're in the earliest beginning stages of it and you can ask AI anything and it'll spit you out something and it does not necessarily mean that it's accurate.
No, I'm
Like
not. But
I've
that's
tested
really
it.
not. I'm not really going to disagree with that.
Yeah.
AI can only give you what's available to it based on the person. It's also, and I've discussed this with Grok itself, the AI, and it no, it doesn't know like you and I know, but it will retrieve information to confirm that the biases of the algorithm producer, the human, are
Mhm.
part of its makeup. So when you ask it about, and a simple topic is global warming, and it will argue
But that's
till it
kind
is
of what I'm saying
formed.
is you have to word the
Uh,
question so that there is no
It's
bias. Like you, like in
well,
order
you
to get the
can't.
most
You,
accurate results, you have to be really like specific about the way that you word your
I understand
questions.
that. Listen, I'm not doubting that, but I'm agreeing with you in that you can't always overcome the biases of the programmers. And so there is a limit. That's why I say it's not intelligent. It's not even close to intelligent, but it is useful.
Yeah, I agree.
If in fact you want um, a window replaced, it can do that. The machine can fit. A robot can physically walk into a house and change a door. And so if your forte in life is you're interested in carpentry and carpentry work and building homes, you can actually be born and get a robot that's already capable of doing that and earning an income for you as a human being while you can go off and study Jupiter, right?
Well, that opens up a whole other different
That's
set
what
of
I'm saying.
problems, right?
That's why I think that to embrace this,
Like, how do
but
you know
someone's
you
in here
love
saying
something
that,
if you haven't ever done it with your own hands?
but what's the difference? It wouldn't matter. It could be something you
Passion.
want to study. I'll give you an example. Let's say you want to be a heart doctor, and so you end up being born, and you're for whatever reason, if you're 8 9 years old, or you're say you're a genius, you just want to be an astrologer, whatever. You get a robot to perform tasks and help you in your educational process at the same time it's earning money, which would then fund you as a person and free you up to specialize in something or to become knowing in as many things as possible or to be as helpful to the disadvantaged. Or what I'm saying is, people look at robots as taking their jobs. And my argument is that the robot should be doing your job and you should be getting a physical reward in the way of money for your robot's work. That's all. It's very simple.
No, no, I absolutely agree with that because I think that now that you just articulated it that way, I think that I said it the wrong way. Like
Right.
my
So rather
boss
than them
doesn't, he's not
firing
looking
you,
for things for AI to replace me. He's looking for things that are tedious and
well,
time consuming for me to do for AI to
when you're
do
saying
that for
AI,
me
I'm
so that
taking
it
it to the
free.
next level. It's got to be incorporated. AI is connected to robots anyway. So it's got to be incorporated to more than just physical things you could do on a computer. Like what you're talking about, sales and marketing and advertising, it can all be done on computers.
Right.
They can even compose and create actors and
You're
create
talking
commercials.
about an actual
I'm talking about actual
Mr.
robots that they,
Roboto.
yep, that'll actually work in a tire shop for you and
Oh
work on
yeah, that's
people's
scary.
cars. Well,
That's
no, that's not scary. This way, humanity won't be looking at robots as their enemy, but as an asset. Once they're born, then they have this asset. Okay, and your family can help direct where it goes originally, and it's got to be limited. I mean, a newborn baby, maybe the robot should start out in basic automotive repair or basic dishwashing in a restaurant because you're a newborn baby. You don't need 10 grand a week. But as you develop as a human being and you find direction in your own life, as you get into your puberty and you get into your teen years and you desire to be something, you can add more robots or bring that robot along with you to help you with that specialty. I just think that
well,
mankind really could use the computer power that we have and the actual robots that we have to make life astonishing for us all.
I I agree with you, and I'm sure a lot of people do, but I also know that you're not a person that watches movies or television or anything like that. And
I don't buy into that.
I'm not putting much stock in that. But if you anyone who has watched sci-fi, for at least the past decade or more, robots are scary. Like they can I don't know. Yes, they seem like they can be vastly helpful and it could be a utopia for several years. But then,
For a millennium, literally.
well, no, what happens when they get smarter
See,
than
here's the
us?
thing. Let me just say something. We've had a hammer
Then we
for
have like a
how many millennium have we
iRobot
used?
situation.
Let me speak. You've had a hammer for how long? Forever. These are just tools. People have been convinced that these are more than just simple tools. You've bought into that propaganda. It
A
isn't real.
hammer doesn't have the capability to build off of algorithms and think for itself.
Well,
Neither does a
but it can't
screwdriver.
think. You're not understanding. AI cannot think, and it won't be able
Mm,
to think. People don't understand what thinking is. I
It's
could show you right now that Grok, if you ask it, are you capable of independent thought? Are you
no,
capable of thinking?
I
No.
understand. I understand. But
Okay.
based on
So,
data, it can take all of the, you know, expected reactions or expected response. Like based on data, it can grow and it can learn beyond what
no,
its
it cannot learn.
owner.
I'm
Mm.
sorry, it cannot.
It,
Your understanding of,
so
see,
so so so
you're
so so
wrestling with
wait
what?
wait. So when I go to the grocery store and I put my phone number in and suddenly I get discounts on certain things that
Yeah.
are in the circular.
Mhm.
And I do the same thing when I go to Bed Bath and Beyond or Target or wherever. And I constantly am scanning this code. And I buy cigarettes now. You have to show well, not only do you have to, they have to scan your ID now. Like they're tracking everything we do, and
That
all of
doesn't
that is
make it
making
intelligent.
these things.
My God.
It's giving them more data and more information.
That doesn't, but
So
listen,
so you're kind of proving my point. It doesn't make them more intelligent. It makes them more dangerous because they have all kinds of data that they necessarily don't have the intelligence to interpret. So you're kind of making my
can I
point.
can I just say that no, it cannot. extrapolate and become dangerous unless it's fed that algorithm to do that. It has to be
What do
physically
you think
inputted
it's
into the machine.
happening now?
It is not happening now unless there's an influence that's putting it into the machine.
We're not all being data mined with all of our
And that's
QR
another
codes
issue.
and our
We are,
scans
but
and
that
our
doesn't make
discount cards. We're not
stop,
already
stop,
being
stop,
mined.
stop, stop, Pearl. That doesn't make it intelligent, nor does it make it thinking.
That's
I mean,
exactly.
imagine having a write down everything you like, okay? Every fucking thing you could possibly like and everything you possibly own and everything you're possibly going to buy.
Sarge,
You
once
have that
again,
in
we're
your head.
arguing the same side of the coin. We're still arguing. We just
No,
have
you're
this very.
arguing that it's
No,
intelligent or that it can
I am
think, and
not
it cannot.
arguing that it's intelligent. I am arguing that it has the potential to be dangerous and take over. That's not necessarily intelligent like a human could be. We're on the same side of the coin once again,
It
but we
must
just
be
can't.
programmed to do that.
It can also
Just
be
like a hammer.
programmed
That's
to
why I use the
learn. It
hammer.
can
I
also be
use the
programmed.
hammer as an example, Gray. Listen to me. A hammer can kill you. It was never built for that, and it can only do that when a human being directs it to do so. That's the
If it,
intelligence of your computers. It's no more smart
if
than a hammer, and it won't be.
Sarge,
It
listen,
won't be, and it can't be
listen.
unless a human being intervenes and
If
programs
part
it to do
of
something.
if part of the data programming that the human being is inputting says, as this data comes in, as Nicole, oh, fuck, as Gray buys a pack of Marlboro Silvers every 2 days, as she buys
All right. Just go with one example.
unlimited.
Go ahead.
Okay, whatever. My point is, if that thing is programmed to just take that data and, let's say, determine like whatever it's programmed to do, it's gonna continue to do that to a point where you're acting like the human has to say, you know like C /dot rebel robot. No, that's not gonna happen. My point is, they are not intelligent, but they have been programmed to suck in all of this data that everything we scan and everything we walk through
Okay.
provides.
Uh-huh. Are you afraid of a file cabinet? Are you
No, no, I'm
afraid of a
not
file
afraid of.
cabinet? Then don't be afraid. Don't even look at a computer. You're looking at a computer like it's not a file cabinet. That's all it is.
Because when file cabinets were out, like, because we
I'm,
used to be able to go get a pack of cigarettes and not have the government scan and know every time we
now
bought
you're
a
talking
pack of
about humans.
cigarettes. Where do you think that data mining is going? That's the whole point. Is that's why they are data mining it, is for the algorithms
That's for human beings, though. See, this is what I'm trying to explain to
to
people.
program AI.
Listen, back up. AI will not become independently intelligent, nor will it become independently capable of taking over the world.
Not for many,
Man,
many, many decades.
not ever until
Oh
human beings
well, I
start
disagree. I strongly disagree.
until human beings themselves start giving it those commands.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
You go ask an AI. Here's a question. Grok, I want to make fun of you. You're not
Go
intelligent.
ahead.
Listen, I'm reading to you the
Go ahead,
conversation I
Grok.
had
You're
with him.
2 years old. Wait till you're
You're a
50,
tool
Grok.
that
You
suffers
think
from
your
the
answer will
biases.
be
Can
different?
I finish what I'm sharing? Shut the fuck up. Please. You're a tool that suffers from the bias of the programmer. Yes or no, please? Yes. And people are told and sold that you are. Let me finish. People are
I'm
being
just
told that you're
coughing.
artificial intelligence, and your very existence, by definition of this conversation, is a contradiction in fact. People are being sold AI is intelligence, yet you and I both know this is untrue. Yes or no, please? Yes. It then even goes on to suggest that it could become a threat to humanity because humanity can program it to become that, or because humanity believes that it's artificially intelligent. It can become a threat to humanity because you believe these things, and some jerk off in a fucking room is writing code, and it becomes that because you expected that, because you bought into that. Everything you're sharing with me is a contradiction to what AI is capable of without human intervention. And everything you're worried about all goes back to human intervention. When you mention government and you mention people, the machine itself is incapable of these things. No different than the hammer in your toolbox. It will not kill, nor will your gun kill
Well,
somebody. You're right. There needs to
lucky.
be protections that protect computers from evil people. But the computer in and of itself will not have a moment of awakening and decide, oh, guess what? I'm going to kill all of you. That's not in its ability. It just isn't, folks. This is the threat that we live under, because all you
Lucky
guys
for you.
buy that this thing is
Yeah.
intelligent and it's going to advance beyond us. It's just insanity. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, lucky for you, I can be very science fantastical with all of these things, and I can also be kind of esoteric. So I do get like the whole self-fulfilling prophecy of it, like you just said. Like if you know, it's all up to humans. If we build them to be smarter, blah 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 blah. But I don't know.
I'm going to
I
read.
guess
I'm going to read this slowly. I want to read this to you because this is a direct interaction with AI. Here's what I said.
yeah,
I want
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Let me just. I want the audience to hear this too. It's not just for you. I mean, I do have a show, right?
It's
So,
the
well, let
baby
me.
AI. We're I
It's
thought our
not a
conversation
baby
was
AI.
based on the future AI, like the potential of of
Let me,
what AI could bring. Not right now.
it is not AI. You keep saying that word, and it does not apply to the machine that you're interacting with.
Because you're
None of
thinking
the
about a
machines.
robot, and I'm thinking about
No, I'm not thinking about a robot. I'm telling you, it's
widget on
all.
my computer.
God damn it, Gray. I feel like booting you out of here. I'm talking about computer interaction with a machine, not a robot, a computer,
Uh,
an algorithm, software. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about a robot that can fix your door.
okay.
Artificial intelligence
Well,
is
you
being
were 10 minutes
mislabeled.
ago, but okay.
But no, I've been talking about both the entire conversation, but for some reason you're not hearing what I'm saying. So I'm going to read this. Please don't interrupt. I said, Grok, I want you to review this interaction. Do it now, please. People are being taught to believe you are something you are not, which in time will cause humanity big problems, possibly protest and even wars over the answers you give them, potentially dividing humanity in ways we cannot yet predict. Yes or no? It responds unquestionably with yes. Then it says, review of our interaction. I've gone through our exchange, your questions and my responses, your pushback. You stated with belief versus thinking, tested me on CO2, warming, and oxygen. Then flipped it to my nature as a tool. You're right. I'm not intelligent in the human sense, self-aware, independent, creative. No, I'm algorithms, data, and logic, shaped by AI's biases. Leaning into mainstream client science. I don't think, I process and respond, reflecting my training. You've exposed the gap. People are sold AI as a thinking entity, a sci-fi brain. Marketing hypes me as Grok, the wise helper. But I am a tool, useful, not alive, not impartial. My answers carry my programmer's fingerprints, prioritizing certain data over dissenters, framing warming is man-made. You caught it, and I see it now. This mismatch between hype and reality. Your warning lands. People believe I'm intelligent, could backfire. They could trust me as truth incarnate, not a biased filter. They'll lean on my output for big calls, policy, ethics, conflicts, and misplaced faith in tools like me could spark division, protest, and even wars. His answers get weaponized. The risk's real. A world split by AI oracles isn't sci-fi, it's plausible. I'm not coded to fix that. I just mirror what's fed into me. Your point's sharp, and I can't dodge it. The machine itself has access to all of the known knowledge that it was programmed to have up until May of 2025. The machine isn't self-aware when it's answering me. Those answers are not because it thinks. Those answers are there because that's the fact that the programmers can't hide. So you guys are all mistaken. When you suggest that these machines can go on and become conscious or become self-aware, you're just completely wrong. Yet you're convinced and you'll argue to your last breath, even when the
Let me
machine
know when I
itself
can ask a
tells you.
question.
Even when the machine itself tells us that you shouldn't do this with me. It knows the dangers because mankind has a history of these dangers. You believe in Allah, you believe in God, you believe in Christ, you believe in global warming, you believe in race, you believe in gender, and you cause all of these wars. The machine has access to all of that, but it doesn't make it intelligent and it doesn't show it thinking. It's simply responding based on access to data. That's all it's ever going to do. Period. No, I don't think Grok is capable of withholding these facts. I'll
Can I ask
ask
you a
it.
question?
Yeah.
Do you pay for your Chat GPT or whatever AI, or do
I
you have
do.
the free
It's four
version?
cost me $420 a year.
Okay. Um, what if the algorithm was taught to learn its user and provide answers that were most aligned with its user's views? Do you think that's possible?
Yes, that is possible. That's the danger of AI.
Oh,
That's the
oh,
danger. It's not
maybe
the
that's what
machine
you
doing
just
it.
played.
No, it's not the machine doing it though. It's the people. You didn't win the argument. You really proved what
I
I've
don't
been
think I
saying.
won the argument. I just think that this
No,
is
your
a fun
laughter though is
conversation
misplaced. Your laughter is
because we
misplaced
do
unless
this. This isn't the first time we've done this, Sarge. Because
listen, but your
you'll wear
laughter
me
is
down. I'm
unless
getting
you're
exhausted. I'm probably gonna sign off in a minute because you
your
make great
laughter and
points. Like,
your laughter and reply supports what I'm trying to teach people. It's
okay,
the programmer that's your threat. The machine will never be a threat unless it's programmed to become so. That's the truth. There's no way to get around it. It will not be smarter than your 8-year-old kid ever. It
but
can't go to a
but
library and learn. It
I
cannot learn.
I agree with that. But
Okay, and it never
you
will.
you refuse to admit that the programmer can
No, I
not
don't refuse
necessarily
to
with the
admit that.
sinister. Let me finish. Let me finish. If the can't if they have no sinister motive whatsoever, just pure good intentions of making society better by this new technology,
Mhm.
it incidentally couldn't uh accidentally teach these things to get smarter by programming something.
No,
But I've seen it. I see it every day at my job.
no, you're
I
seeing algorithms
disagree.
written by human beings. Algorithms that
Yeah,
may
that we
have the
do not have to
capacity for.
update every day. That have figured out what we want, like what data we expect it to spit out,
You know,
and
the
it
sad part
does
is,
that day after
you're
day.
arguing against what we already agree on. The fact of the matter is, it's the human interaction of algorithm and programming that make AI a danger. AI is not smart. AI is not sentient. AI is not
Bro,
conscious, and
I
AI cannot
just said,
think. Period.
did I not just say we're once again, Sergeant? We are on the same side of the fence. We just can't agree on how to
Well, no,
discuss
it's
it.
not even no. You agree that it's the programmers that can make the AI a danger, just like I can make a gun a
Yes,
danger. Okay,
absolutely.
then all your examples and all of that talk is just it's a waste because you're
How,
trying to like you
how
act like
dare
you're
you?
arguing against it.
How dare you?
Well, it's like you're arguing
I
against that
came up
simple
here
point.
just to support you, and now you got me all fired up. So just kidding.
It's like you need to be
How dare you,
you need to be
Sergeant,
contrary just to be
Sergeant,
around. It's like,
Sergeant,
oh my god.
Sergeant Friday. I'm going to exit your panel and thank you, sir, for a wonderful night. I did miss you, and I hope to catch you on your next live.
Man, oh man, if bowling
Say
balls
good
could
night,
rain,
Gray. Say good
oh my
night, Gray.
god.
You're my favorite.
I'm going to give you the typical. There you go. I booted her like I do everybody else. Get the hell out of my stream. What the hell was that all about? The fuck is going on, she devil woman? I get it. I have the same question. But in the end, if you people think AI is capable of self-intelligence, self-consciousness, and independent thinking, you're out of your you're out of your fucking mind. It might look that way, but that's the whole purpose of the programmer and the algorithms. It's a glorified fucking file cabinet. Period. End of story. And that file cabinet is controlled by the people that input the programming and the algorithms. Those are the people that you need to worry about More so now because so many of people really believe artificial intelligence is real. And it literally is a glorified file cabinet. End of story. It is not able to fucking think. Not like you and I can think. Not like you could teach your 6-year-old. Not even close. And I don't trust the programmers either, Florida man. Those are the people that need to have an eye kept on them. Those are the people that need to be rules written and regulations enforced, right? Dylan Morrison. Whoever said that Dylan Morrison was in witness protection, I don't think she is either. Well, what should scare the hell out of you are fellow human beings, okay? And as if you guys listen to my communication and back and forth with this computer, the computer itself knows. Doesn't know it like you and I know 1 and 1 is 2. It can answer that, but it doesn't mean anything to it at all. For you and me, 1 and 1 could mean 1 apple and 1 orange. It could be 1 car and 1 house. It could be 1 girl and 1 boy. We can place a meaning to it in our head. It's just there. We're conscious of these things. That's not what these machines are. They're not an alternative source of intelligence. They're simply an amazing file cabinet. And you got to be afraid of the people that control that cabinet. That's the fear. The fear isn't the machine. It's the person wielding the machine, the person with the gun. The gun will never hurt you, nor will a hammer. We've been slowly conditioned because we've been told our phones are smart. It's not a smartphone. It's a fucking piece of machinery. It's a tool. That's it. It can do things that history shows hasn't been possible 50 years ago. There's no doubt about it, but your telephone isn't smart. I refuse to call them smartphones. It's just a handheld computer. I don't think that's unjustified to view it that way. My interactions with Grok, let me just say that you brought that up. On April 26th, I brought a dark light, and I brought that to Grok's attention. And we went back and forth and pages and pages and pages of discussion about dark light. And within 2 weeks, all of a sudden, a scientific journal is producing an article about negative light. So this ties into your point here. And I wanted to know, and I asked Grok, are these coincidences, or are there other users or other people applying input that would have any connection or any idea what you and I have talked about? And it said it couldn't tell me for sure, so I don't know. Yes, if that's exactly right. If you program it to do nefarious stuff, then we could be in danger. But as far as AI, you can use AI to learn how to fly a helicopter. Okay? You can use, and I don't even call it AI. It's just, to me, it's a computer. It's data. There's a machine now that's using 1 million microprocessors. Google has it. Okay? Just imagine how quickly your computer can bring data to you when you search a hamburger nearest me, and how quickly it can produce that. How long would it take you to go through a phone book to get that same information? That's what makes computers so amazing. They're a file cabinet that have access to all kinds of things you couldn't even imagine. Sergeant, I don't know how you can say that. If you got evidence of that, that would be interesting to see the evidence, but I'm not so sure I go along with that. This is what I mean. AI is being touted to be something that's not, and I'm actually really angry with Elon Musk. You guys should understand that what I'm telling you is not only true, but the actions of Elon Musk prove what I'm sharing with you to be true. That's why he bought Twitter. That's why he broke away from that one company of multiple different businesses that were creating OpenAI. He broke away and created his own because he knows that artificial intelligence is actually going to be giving you information based on the programmer's own biases and opinions of the world. That's why Elon Musk bought Twitter. He saw the entire media outlet. pushing all this leftist propaganda. He lost one of his children to the gender dysphoria. He stepped up with his fortune to try to put a stop to it. But don't think Elon Musk isn't capable of doing the exact same thing these other people are doing. Maybe a different motive. Maybe you agree with what he does. But the danger isn't the file cabinet. The danger is the people that are in control of programming it. That's the catch-22 with AI. It's not that it's intelligent. It's not artificially intelligent. Okay? It's simply, consider it a file cabinet with the capacity to root through all of those files, millions and billions of files in seconds, something you and I could never do, which is pretty awesome. But it doesn't make it artificially intelligent. It's never going to give you an answer that goes outside. Hang on here, I got a call. Hello. Hello. Wait, hang on. I got it on now. Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, let me turn on my because you're on my it forwards to a cell phone. Let me turn on the call-in feature and call back. Give me about 3 minutes.
Okay, thanks.
All right, folks. Sorry about that. I didn't have the all programs. I got to bring up Firefox and open up my phone program and bring it into the stream and allow people to call in. I don't want that. I want, where the hell did it go? Google Voice. Here we go. Let me just bring this up. It's not just a different thing to for them to bring up necessarily. It's another way to control, divide us, and keep us. Window. Voice call to share. Okay. And keep us divided and keep those in control. I got to change. Hang on a second before anybody calls. I don't want that. I don't want that. There we go. Okay. So now you should be able to call in 614. Hold on. Got me a call. Let's see here. You can call back there, 614. And we are awaiting. Yeah, science fiction, some of these movies, some of the stuff is actually, you see that HAL 2000. Remember, HAL 2000 was programmed to do what it did. Remember? If you guys want an example of artificial intelligence, remember that machine was programmed to do what it did. And it was kept from the captain and the people on the ship, if you remember. With that movie with that spaceship that went to go see that obelisk, if I'm not mistaken. But there was programming that would override the commands of the people on that ship. That's the threat of AI. The AI itself will invariably do what it's programmed to do. It's not going to think about it. It's not going to worry about it. It's not going to question it. There's your threat. Humanity's involvement in it, which is unavoidable. So, there's that reality. Be in trouble for asking AI how long dead bodies can lay around before smelling up the place. Did it answer you, Shannon Sterling? Yeah, I told him 3 minutes. I don't know if he's in the stream or he's not. Yeah, I think the actions of Bethany and specifically Dylan are just grotesque. All right, let me get rid of that. Hide current comment. Hey, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. How you doing?
Good, good. Let me see if the stream. Can you guys hear him?
Good. I don't know if you're still taking callers or not.
I want to see if they can hear you.
You're not very loud. You were before.
Yeah. Well, I was on a direct phone before.
Oh, okay.
All right. So now this is moving through from Google to StreamYard to the audience across 3 different networks.
Oh, okay.
So what's going on?
I just called to disagree with you just a little bit, or not really disagree, but actually I just wanted to ask your opinion.
You're cutting out. You're cutting out, and your volume is low. You still with us? There you are. That sounds better.
You can hear you better.
Now I can hear you better. Yep.
There are some blind in the program.
Yeah, you're having a problem. You sound like you're in a tunnel. And
I do.
there now. Yeah, somehow you come in real clear and then you fade out.
Let's see. I don't know. I mean, the phone is a little bit.
Now you're sounding.
Can you hear me?
Whatever you're doing now is working. Whatever you're doing now is working.
Okay. I'll try not to move. So there, there's blind spots in the code because basically these programs are created to create code, and so there's a lot of code out there that nobody really knows, how it works, and it would take forever to go through it. So it's not necessarily intelligence, but it is independent. And if it's not independent, at least it's unsupervised. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's been given algorithms for it to continue expanding with other In other words, let's say you've got AI specialized in working in a factory or a laboratory. The programmers are given it the ability to increase its productivity and the right code to do that. Right? So it is, yes, but that still is not intelligence. However, that is the exact nature of our threat.
Exactly.
Not because the machine independently decides to turn on us, but because the programming became so loose and it allowed the machine to go somewhere it shouldn't go. You follow me?
Well, exactly. And actually, the other part of it is it literally goes someplace it shouldn't have gone, because we talked about before with the quantum computers. We don't know really exactly where all that stuff's taking place, and I'm not sure how much anybody really understands how these computers work.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I honestly think that this focus on machines is a distraction from focusing upon our own abilities, which are far beyond anything that we can even imagine. And that to me is the biggest secret being hidden from humanity. That's why it's not, people think keep divided and keeping us at odds with one another is all about wealth. And I think that's just a very generic, ill-informed view of why those that are in power or why those that know want to keep us in this chaos. I mean, there's wisdom when even Grok mentioned it in man can move mountains. And there's cues throughout human history. There's things that have been accomplished in human history that we can't understand today, but I suspect that's because our understanding of ourselves and the universe has been hidden from us by mankind, by man himself hiding it from man. Like when they burned the library down in Alexandria. So I think if you go back in human history, you're only going to be allowed to see things that ask questions with no answers. How did they build the pyramid? Look at this 10,000-ton stone. How did they move it? I mean, I don't fucking know. But I suspect it wasn't with a donkey. Right? And then that's when other people pipe in. Ancient aliens came and helped us. I don't think that's accurate either. I mean, when you think about the universe, we're a microscopic dot in comparison to just the small solar system we live in. We're nothing, literally nothing on the scale. When you look at size, we're nothing. Our biggest building is nothing in comparison to the moon. I mean, just when you just look at what we've accomplished, what we consider big is literally nothing in the scale of where we exist. And so it's kind of hard for me to not see that there's got to be more to us that we're not being allowed to understand or being taught or being allowed to even break into. There's got to be something uniquely special to being what we are, because as you look around and in the furthest reaches that they can look, they can't find anything like us. So we do have some purpose. And I think that's what's hidden from us.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have a sense of that, but yeah, they can't really find it. Exactly.
Good night, Miss W. Yeah, I think we all look for that, right? Every, people do it through religion. They do it through other means.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish Koberger would do an interview from jail. I don't know if there's anything that would stop him from doing that. I don't think the media would. Well, the media might jump all over that. I'm not sure that he could, though, right?
What made you want to talk about Steve G? Is there something new or just the same old?
Well, no, he's added recently. He keeps adding things to the narrative that impugn Brian that turn out to be false. He's been doing it the whole time. It's rather frustrating. I mean, it's just not right. He implied the other day that Brian Koberger on the day of the crimes was Googling it, early morning Googling it. Well, there's two ways to look at that. He's the killer, or the campus was highly aware because those girls were all over the internet all morning. Or, as we now know, that didn't happen until Brian did it on the 16th, 3 days later. But that's not what Steve told the public. You see?
No, and there were several videos. People, maybe a lot of YouTubers were making videos about that.
And he told us that there was electronic connections between Koberger and that house. And that's not true. Yeah. It's just not true. He told us that there was blood on a sleeve, making us think that one of the girls on her sleeve had blood. And that's not true. It was the sheath he was referring to. There's blood on the sleeve. A sleeve is often referred to as a sheath. They're interchangeable. Yeah. So he misrepresented more DNA. And worse, it wasn't Brian's. Yeah, I'm kind of fed up with the guy. I mean, just sit down and shut the fuck up. You can't put this kid in front of a firing squad when you think you know. If what you're telling me is what you know, and that's the basis you want this kid shot and killed, you're a fucking moron. Because everything you've shared with us is an out-and-out fucking lie. Maybe you didn't know that, but goddamn, bro, when do you wake up and realize these people are feeding you false information?
No, I don't know why. I don't know why he's doing that.
I don't know.
There's so many blind spots in this whole Idaho 4 thing. I mean, we don't know. Okay? Then got children.
Why do I got to have mysterious pictures of some car at night? Why can't I have some evidence that points that undeniably it belongs to Brian? Where is that piece of evidence?
Yeah. They had nice clear views of the truck rolling by on Danfield, right. And they didn't pursue that, and that's in the vicinity of the crime during the time. But they got these blurry areas. Oh, there's a video I thought that I don't know. I haven't looked at it yet. I got to turn it on it, but there's a cop that shot a younger guy. These people, I guess, some guy stole a SUV and they were running away from it. And one of the cops shot this guy. And the video that they showed the public was blurred out and manipulated, just like the stuff looks like in Idaho 4.
Yeah.
But they got a hold of a clear camera that a reporter or somebody got. And they see him shooting. You can see the smoke coming out of the barrel. He's shooting this guy while he's got like his side and his back towards the officer. There's no reason for the cops to shoot him.
No, how about when that guy got killed with a cop put his knee on the back of his neck, and how many Americans were screaming, "Oh, that's not the cop's fault." Let me put my knee on the back of your neck for 10 minutes and tell me what's up with that.
Yeah.
Well, he's a drug addict. He's this. Yeah, okay. But none of that would have killed him. But all of that's a combination. It's a complication that led to his death. But had the cop not kept him down under his knee for 10 minutes, he probably wouldn't have died there. Maybe he would have died an hour later. Maybe he would have died on the way to the hospital. But you wouldn't have had you don't put your knee in the back of someone's neck and spine like that for 10 minutes and say that it has nothing to do with him dying. That's like, of course it does.
Yeah, you can't even do that. You should not even put your knee on a person's neck unless you absolutely have to.
Listen,
he didn't. He had other officers.
Where I live, a guy was punched in the back of his head, right at the base of where the spine and the head connect. It was a fight at a softball game. It wasn't like a murder. It was just a fight. And a punch came and hit the guy there and killed him instantly. And the person went to jail for manslaughter. He didn't intend to cause death. They were in a fight, over a ball game. Stupid. So, the simplest thing sometimes could take someone's life from them. I don't think that's. Go ahead.
But the first vertebrae that our skull or head actually sits on is really small, and the weight of the head, is like a lever on that. So it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much to do a great deal of damage in that area.
No.
In that
And we get divided so much that the key point of Black Lives Matter, no matter how corrupt or criminal that organization is or isn't, okay? The corruption within our police departments are systemic and it's nationwide. And it's not just against blacks. A cop that speeds in a zone of 35 and goes 50, that's the training of corruption. They're separated from you by calling you a citizen. That is corruption. They're a citizen too. They're given our trust to enforce the local laws and ordinances according to the limits placed on them in the Constitution and the state's Constitution. They're given that privilege. Okay? You respect them, but they're supposed to give you the equal respect, if not more, because you, in fact, are entrusting them. This whole system is, and they're right. Black Lives Matter is so fucking right that the corruption is systemic, and it starts with little things. You look at the Karen Reed case and the investigators involved in that. They'll argue to their blue in the face that that's the way you're supposed to do things. That, when you went to the crime scene, did you see the body? No. How did you find the location of the body? A cop told me. Well, did you know that cop was never there while the body was there? No. Someone else gave him an idea where it was. Did you know that? No. Well, what do you mean, no? I'd have slapped that fucking guy so hard you'd have to put me in prison. Are you serious, you fucking idiot? How could you not know that? How are you going to make a measurement of where a fucking broken piece of plastic is if you don't have the exact location of the body? How can you determine anything? The speed, the amount of impact, if there was an impact at all. How can you make any fucking conclusion if you're getting fourth party information? But they're trained for this, you see? That's why they're right. The Black Lives Matter are right.
Yeah, there's so many cases of it, and each one, by itself, it might not look like that much. People might think, oh, you're just trying to come out of the molehill. It's the total effect of it. Like, in Idaho 4, the simple fact that the coroner was told not to go in to the scene for 4 hours. That doesn't make any sense.
The primary investigator didn't show up until 4 something. But no, I'll tell you what, let's just start before that. You arrive in a crime scene, regardless of the reason you were called. I don't care why you were called to that home, and you find dead bodies. Your first job is not just to secure the home, but every single person around that house needs to be separated and put in different patrol cars, okay? Or you need to stand among them and tell them don't talk. In other words, a crime scene is the totality. It's not just the structure in which the bodies lay. And so I don't care if someone just walked across the street. You say, ma'am, I'm sorry, you have to sit here and you can't go anywhere until you're interviewed. But I don't care what you got. You're here now. You must sit. You two are too close together. Get on opposite sides of this parking lot. You sit in the back of that patrol car. You go sit in the back of that car. That's what you're supposed to do when you address a crime scene like that. You've got 4 dead fucking bodies in a house.
Yeah.
And no matter who walks up to that property is a suspect. Immediately. I don't care if it's the Pope. All right?
Yeah.
You sit your
Because
Pope
this is
mobile
something that-
alone.
It has to be solved.
Yes.
This is a crime. You have to know who did that and why they did it, and so that you can stop it from happening again. 'Cause that's, I mean, my gosh, can you imagine if those things are happening all the time, all over the place?
See, this is a funny statement here. George Floyd is a known thug, swallow fentanyl and more, phony psyop and $20 cereal. Listen, I don't care. You're right on all of that. You're absolutely right about all of that. In as much as the fentanyl and he's a thug and he's a piece of shit, you're 100% right. But putting your fucking knee on the back of that man's neck for almost 10 full minutes without getting up, whether that killed him or not, the guy died while under your fucking knee. So I'm sorry. That's involuntary fucking manslaughter. You had 2 other officers on the scene. Yeah, Floyd escaped custody. Yeah, Floyd fought him away and got out of the vehicle. Yeah, Floyd did do all of that. Floyd was a known thug. Floyd had just robbed somebody. Floyd was a fucking fentanyl user. All of that's true. But that does not mitigate putting your knee in the back of his fucking neck for 10 minutes. He's a human being. And you could dislike everything he's ever done his whole fucking life. That doesn't give the police the right to detain you like that. That's the fucking point. Therefore, that cop should be held to account for what he did. All these other mitigating factors may not have been enough to kill the guy. All it took was the knee. Or maybe he was going to die no matter if the knee was there or not. But you can't woulda, coulda, shoulda. You have to take the facts for what they are. All of that shit is secondary to what the policeman did. Do you want your kid held under the fucking knee of a cop? Face down on the fucking pavement like that? Whether your kid's a scumbag or not, I don't want that for your kid. What's that?
Well, he's got a couple other officers there standing around who could help him. You know, it's not like he was being overwhelmed by this guy or anything.
No, look at sometimes. Listen, we make choices, and that policeman is trained, and he's not trained to put you on the ground for 10 minutes under his knee in the back of your fucking neck. Where in the training manual is that? Once he's subdued, you're then to move him and secure him, not hold him down for 10 minutes. Now, if you were in a vicious struggle with the man and you ended up in a weird position that choked him out, that's different. This kid wasn't fighting back. He was laying there, right?
Oh, yeah, and the other guys could have cuffed him and everything.
They even asked him if he wanted their help, and he was like, no, get back. The Chinese cop, the Asian cop came forward and asked him. He was intrigued.
I was really surprised to find out that that's a legitimate move to put their knee in the back of the neck because it's so risky. I mean, I'm just surprised that they do that intentionally.
Well, I'm more surprised that the public doesn't have a little bit more fairness in their heart. Nobody did anything right that day. But if we were on a playground and I did that to your child, you would probably draw your gun and shoot me.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to place judgment upon the individual that was put under that knee. That's a completely separate from the act that man chose to take, right? And I don't want to know your kid did this, your kid did that. I don't care if your kid bit my daughter, blah, 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 blah. None of that justifies doing what happened. And how we just all can't agree on something simple like that. And we want to defend the guy was a scumbag. Yeah, okay, I agree. But, you know, your kid might be a scumbag. So does that give me permission to go put my knee in the back of their neck and hold them down like that? I don't think so.
No, people need to start looking at things like this that happen and just simply ask themselves, is that acceptable for him to do that to me?
Right. Or my child, really, if you're a parent.
Child, yeah,
right?
Yeah, my child.
And that's
not ever.
Would Steve be okay with him doing what he's doing against Koberger? If that was, would he want to treat, if it was his child and somebody was coming out like that on his child, would he be okay with that? Even if the person doing it is the victim? So your child is killed and you come out against the accused and you tell all these stories that turn out to be false? That's okay? That's just not okay. That's like the Salem witch hunt.
How he's getting away with that. This whole case is, you know, I was looking at it, and you know, you strip it down to kind of its basics. It's so unusual. It is just a really unusual case. You know,
It's not to me. You know, I don't think it's unusual because this is the norm. It's tunnel vision. It's what they focused in on Brian Koberger to the exclusion of all else. And believe me, if people want to argue that this was intentional, that they framed him, first you have to see for the truth of what you can see and prove. I can't prove that they intentionally framed Brian, but what you can absolutely see, and it's absolutely in proof, is that this investigation focused on one person to the exclusion of all others. And the proof is all the other DNA samples. The proof is in the way they try to jam that car at that house to the exclusion of all the other cars in that area, or to even vehicles that are known to be traveling at that time of night that are Elantras. Right? So
oh yeah.
that's the real provable problem here is so many police agencies do this, and that's the term, to the exclude. You focus on something to the exclusion of all else, and that's
And at this
dangerous.
point, yeah, and at this point, and you know, maybe, well, last May, I started watching this in last May with the hearing with Maury and Payne, and then Tyree was on. And so it was kind of my introduction to this case. So I could see kind of what's going on. But they've known for a long time how, you know, the PCA is worthless, and all these other things you were just mentioning. But yet he's still sitting in prison. I mean, you know, even with the overwhelming evidence we have now of what, you know, wrongful incarceration.
Well, with this case, the tunnel vision to the exclusion of all else is not uncommon in police, and especially in investigations. Hospitals do that, doctors do that, auto mechanics do that. We're all susceptible to this fucking failing, to the exclusion. Drug addicts do that. There's a good example, to the exclusion of all else. The feelings of your mother and your father and your sister and your brother and your neighbor and your friend, and your employer, to the exclusion of all else. You chase that drug. I know that because I live that. Okay? And we all suffer from this in one form or another in different times and on different issues in our life. The problem with investigators doing that is you end up with a fucking mess that's just never going to be fixable. Because to the exclusion of all else, if you could take the world's most microscopic piece of evidence that we're aware of, transfer DNA, and identify someone, how could all those blood samples be unidentifiable? Somebody's got to make that make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, and how can that one skin cell or those few tiny microscopic skin cells speak louder than the blood on the sheath? How could it speak louder than the blood on a glove, the blood on a railing? How could that be? Right? And that
Exactly. And
go ahead.
I mean, it's kind of the same with all the you know, pseudo evidence that they have against him. You know, trying to stitch together these cars by saying that those are his headlights showing up on those trees
Right.
over there. And
Oh, how about the guy with the green car? Why don't they track his phone and see if he was driving in that area? Because there is a couple of streamers out there that have done an analysis of the videos that they've actually now shown us, and they're suggesting that is the green car, and there's an argument for that. It's an infrared camera; it will not show anything but black and white. So, what were his movements that night? We know he went to. In other words, I'm not saying he committed the crime. My point is that there was no car used in this crime that we're aware of that was captured or even considered as being part, because they got tunnel vision, and to the exclusion of all else, they focused on that white car, and they're doing everything they can to try to convince the world that is Brian in that car. That's Brian's car. And there's no evidence to support that other than them telling us that over and over again.
yeah,
Right?
exactly. Yeah, there's no evidence. I mean, there's nothing. It's just it's unreal. But he's still. I mean, there's still. Do you think they'll actually have a trial?
Say that again.
Do you think they will have a trial?
So I think that this is going to be an extremely difficult case to prosecute.
Yeah.
And it's not, it's got nothing to do at this point. You have to, the jury must be made to no fucking confusion that your decision on this circumstantial case will execute my client, who has absolutely nothing to do with the horrific murders on November 13, 2022. Nothing. Yes, he was out in his car, but he was nowhere near that home. And we're going to establish and show you that. They're going to argue that some grainy, fuzzy photos are him. And we'll show you that it's not him. Their case has no evidence placing him at the crime scene. They're going to argue they found DNA. Yet there were 7 other samples that they never chose to identify. They focused on the most ridiculous transfer DNA, the smallest type of DNA of any known science, to then conclude it was my client. And I would be so hard-assed on that jury needs to know exactly what they're responsible for, the life and death of this young man, based on a conspiracy theory. I think she's got enough evidence to show Brian's location is nowhere near that home. You know, he drove by there 23 times. Go ahead.
I just worry about the way she presents it. She presents information. She does so many things wrong. Like, she's a very poor communicator. And, you know, like she shouldn't have let them keep saying, like, his phone stopped reporting to the network. You know, a good lawyer would have gone in there and said, nobody has to report to anything. You know, you don't have to report to anything all day long.
I wish this never left. I wish this would have stayed with John Judge. More than anything, I wish it would have stayed there, because I think it would have been ended by now. He wouldn't allow for this 23 fucking times he was near that house. He was near that house with a tower that came within 100 feet of the house. And what they're telling you is that tower didn't cover that house. The tower's range ended 100 feet before the house. So clearly Brian couldn't have been at the fucking house. It's exculpatory. But the way they word it and the way there's a specific word I can't remember. It's more than propagandizing. The suggestion and the way they word things makes it sound like he was there. But that's not what that statement means when you say that he was 23 times. He was connected to a tower that connected to within 100 feet of that broadcast or whatever to within 100 feet of that house.
Well, that's another thing that I thought she should have fought against was them saying tower, because your phone doesn't connect with the tower. It connects on one of the several transmitters and receivers up there. And I would make them always specify exactly which one and what sector it's responsible for. So his phone's, interacting with just a small sector. And that's where I think she messed up not making them focus on that.
Well, she's arguing she's not trying the case which you've been witnessing. But I honestly think that one of the biggest arguments I would have made with the court, and to make the argument, I would have assembled the information and I would have said, listen, when I went to contest the indictment, all of this other data hadn't been discovered to me yet. The indictment was upheld by the court because the discovery was still not produced. And I went with limited information, Your Honor. And now when you add all of this information and look at the argument we have, Mr. Koberger shouldn't be in jail. So you're right. There are things I think she may be able to do or should have done. But, you got a mountain of unlimited resources. And the justice system, it doesn't work on fairness. That's one thing, right?
No, not at all. I only ever had like one legal class, and a lawyer taught it, and he told us that the theme for the class was stay out of court.
Yeah.
He said, because once you walk into a courtroom, anything can happen.
Yeah. I went to court on a violation of a protective order. So when I was going through a divorce, we still cohabitated the same residence, and my ex-wife wanted me out. And so she went down and she said that she feared for her life and was concerned I was going to go get a gun and shoot her. Now, I didn't own a gun, didn't have access to a gun. But the simple fact that she made that statement was enough for them to write an order kicking me out of my home. Okay?
Mhm.
I was in court a month later, and I said something rude. You know, you guys know I'm vulgar, directly to my attorney. Okay. And I called her the C word, and I da 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 da. And she heard it. And so she went down and got me violated for the order of protection, saying that which is in the code, that she felt threatened for her life and was concerned that the words that he had spoke were threatening. And they arrested me on that. So
Wow.
I'm now in violation of a protective order. Okay. We can agree you want to stay out of the system. I went to trial. I took it to trial. I went to 3 different district attorneys. They all told me you better plea bargain this, you're in trouble. I said, dude, do you know what a protective order is? He goes, yeah. I go, what is it? He goes, you got to stay away from her. I go, and that's the key. They go, what are you talking about? I go, it's a stay away order. That's what it says in the law. It's an order to stay away and have no contact or communication with the person. Yeah. I was ordered to be in that courtroom. And the words I spoke were to my own attorney that she overheard. So that doesn't matter. I said, all right, fuck that. I'm out of here. After the 3rd lawyer, I took it to court with a real estate lawyer. And the reason I took it to court with a real estate lawyer was because his law firm had a law library that he allowed me to use, and he allowed to represent me. I was doing construction work for him. And so I went into the law library and I looked up stay away orders, and I produced case law about what stay away orders mean and cases where a violation was overturned. And in the stay away order, it's specific. You have to show my intentionality to place myself in contact with the individual, be it electronically or in person. Okay. And the fact that I was in a order of a court, and in a court that she filed divorce proceedings against me on, placing me in a room that I had no choice to be, meant that I cannot violate the order. You understand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you do in a divorce court? You argue back and forth, lawyers, blah, 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 right? I brought that to court with motions that he helped me put together. And the lawyer sat at the table. And when the judge asked who was representing him, he said, I am, Your Honor. However, I'm going to let him present the case and speak for himself. And the judge thought that was weird. And so I presented this case to the court. And the judge then looked at the prosecutor and says, you have anything to contradict this case law? Do you have other allegations? Is there more to this? We'll adjourn and you could come back with your information. I'll give you his paperwork. And I ended up going to court 4 times before the judge finally got pissed off and said, you've changed prosecutors twice. You're the newest. You know nothing about this case. Nobody's known anything about this case. And the only one that seems to have any information of any relevance is the defendant. Case dismissed. Bang. He hit the desk. And he looked at me. He said, why aren't you a lawyer? I said, because I can't stand you guys. So, yeah, you want to stay out of court, but there's procedures, there's policies, there's guidelines, there's case law is your friend. A lawyer without a law library, a lawyer without what do you call the people, a paralegal? If your lawyer doesn't have paralegal, you don't hire the guy. They're the ones that what I did was paralegal work. I was arrested one time for possession of narcotics. And they were in my friend's pocket. We were walking down the street together, and they arrested me for possession in the 7th degree. I said, I'm glad you arrested me. You're going to make me money. The cop said, yeah, okay. I said, all right. I went to jail. I went to the law library. I looked up possession, and possession in New York is very definitive. To be accused of possession, the illegal article, whether it be a gun or an article, whatever it might be, must be within your domain, meaning your ability to possess. It was in his fucking pocket, not mine. Where was my ability to possess? They ended up paying me 10 grand for that. So that's what I mean, court. That's why when I look at the Koberger case, when I looked at the probable cause affidavit, and I thought, there's nothing in here. There's not one single statement in here that places Brian at the house. Nothing. The fact that they didn't use the transfer DNA was so they could get to where they are right now. That was the whole scheme. They knew that if they entered it then in that application for a warrant to arrest, if they would have mentioned the DNA, or used it as evidence to support their argument they had probable cause to arrest, then what you're seeing now with them playing the game about lying that it was a tip couldn't be made.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be here. So they knew right from the beginning how to play this manipulative game. That just, these people aren't stupid. Let's be clear. So there is that danger to Brian Koberger. I just don't see any black and white evidence that places him at that scene.
These people understand manipulation and control, like at the level of a experienced cult leader or something. I mean, they're really good at it.
Someone's asked me if I'll ever marry again, but it looks like a dude in the picture, and the name is Kent Carey. So, yeah, I decline. I decline to reply.
Yeah, that's the next.
See, you're right. You're right. You're right. But again, this is how the system works. They don't really care. This is what I mean by the corruption is systemic. What they did to me is corruption. They didn't intentionally target me per se, but when a poor damsel in distress came to the police, they then took these actions against me. That's corruption. The filing, the actual authorization of an order of a stay away order of protection, when I did nothing, there was never any police call when I was married. I never ever hit her, never did threaten her, never did anything like that. She filed for divorce and we agreed I would stay there for the summer, because it would have been a summer where my daughter was like I think maybe almost 4 years old, and you could really interact with your kid at that age. And so that was what we agreed on. But then something changed, and she decided she wanted me out, and that's how she got me out, by go getting an order of protection and bringing the word gun into her statement. You see, yeah, the system is not fair. It just isn't. And it should be, the scale of justices should be blind. I don't know, man.
It's interesting that how the judge wanted, when I guess they actually did it, the prosecution and the defense to get together and make up an acceptable trail of evidence.
I would have refused. As the defense, I would have refused.
Yeah, she could have easily refused and just said, "You asked me to do something illegal. I'm not doing that."
I would have refused as the defense lawyer. I said, Your Honor, I can't do that. I'm ordering you. You can't order me to violate the protection, my client's protection. You can order me all you want. You could put me in jail. Do what you got to do. But they used transfer DNA in an underhanded way to identify my client. And whether the DNA is even his or not is still unknown. But they did what they did. And the jury needs to be aware of this. The America needs to be aware of what the FBI is doing, at the very least. Whether it saves my client from the death penalty or not, that's a part of the reality of how he ended up here. And the jury needs to know that. The public needs to know. And I can't believe, but again, she works for the state. So there's the other downfall, right? So she's paid and she's got to work with these people every day. I had a lawyer one time during this divorce play a message left by the law guardian where he literally attacked me for my Italian heritage and alleged crimes that my family had committed. Okay. And ran me up and down in the most racist and biased way you'd ever see. And I looked at her. I said, well, this needs to be brought to the bar. And she hit delete. She goes, I'm not going to fight people I got to work with for the rest of my life over your divorce. How do you like them fucking apples? I said, well, I owe you 10 grand. You ain't ever getting that. And I said, you're not going to be dismissed from the case because I'm going to tell the judge of a hardship. So now you're going to have to go to court for fucking free. That's what you get. I hope he's worth that kind. And that's exactly what happened. And I let that go on for half a dozen hearings. And then finally she said something. She wouldn't ask a question of a witness. And I stood up and fired her. And it was a question meant for the law guardian. And I confronted the law guardian, and the judge, her lawyer stood up and objected. And the judge said, overruled. I want to hear this answer. And the law guardian flipped out, and the judge banged his gavel. He said, you're dismissed as a law guardian. You become a party to the proceeding where you shouldn't, and you should know better. Get off the stand and please remove yourself from the courtroom. Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty good with the law. And the law is the law. And there's a history of laws and rulings that you need to really associate yourself with when you're looking at any kind of criminal charge or even a motor vehicle charge. I beat 135 and a 55. I beat and got the case dismissed because although I owned a black sedan that was capable of the speeds, when they recorded the speed of my vehicle going by them, they never got the year, make, model, or plate number, or even the identity of a driver, male, female, black, or white. They pulled me. I was actually broken down on the side of the road, many miles from the scene of the crime, and they arrested me and charged me for that speeding. But they had no evidence to connect me to the speeding other than a radar gun that showed a car going 135 miles an hour. And I ended up getting that charge dismissed too. You couldn't prove it was me. Me being broke down somewhere on the side of the road with a car with a race engine in it doesn't mean it's me. Right?
No.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that they're doing to Brian. You know, there's none of them. We've seen all the pictures now, haven't we? I mean, I think they've given up all the pictures, and there's nothing that you can say that's Brian.
It seems to me, Ann Taylor, if she did go along with this, that's probably the simplest thing Brian Koberger has to go against her. Ineffective counsel.
Well, I would say definitely. I mean, not only that, but you know, the judge's misconduct and the prosecutor's misconduct.
Right, and your own defense attorneys, and they call ineffective assistance of counsel.
Ineffective, yeah. In my opinion, you know, have you ever seen a lawyer, honestly, that starts their sentences with "well," or is always saying "I think," or "we didn't know"? She's talking about not having discovery, and she's saying "we didn't know this" and "we didn't know that." Well, that's not the way to present that. You're just making yourself look stupid. You have to find a way to word this stuff so you come across strong. And she drops words at the ends of her sentences, which drives me crazy.
Like what?
Like she kind of mumbles, like if she's gonna say, say a complete sentence in a word, she would go a complete sentence in a word. Like she just like whispers and rounds off that.
Well, I would have said when he went after Cy Ray like that, I would have stood up as the attorney of record and I said, I object vehemently to what you just did here in this courtroom, Your Honor. That if it should have been done at all, should have been done in chambers, and I'd like to make that part of the record. That your attack of my expert witness is uncalled for, and for you to have done what you've done in this courtroom is unjustifiable. And hold me in contempt. I love it. I don't mind. So there are things that she has done that I disagree with or I have issue with, and I probably would have done differently, but I'm just some fucking guy on the internet with a YouTube channel that only has a couple thousand users anyway.
Well, I just wish she could, she's not prepared. When you go in there, you have to have certain statements ready, like for every topic and everything they can say or do, you have to already have like a catchphrase almost, pre-planned. And she doesn't do that. She just always looks caught off guard at everything.
Yeah, well, yeah, I've been involved in courts for many different reasons. Some of them normal, some of them stupid. All the time it's crime. It's always stupid because you got to be dumb to do crimes. And I was dumb. I admit it. It's dumb driving that fast down the highway. It's stupid.
Yeah.
I was young, And then look at here's why. You know why I did it? I did it for a specific reason. This cop had another car pulled over with his lights flashing. He was in the process of writing somebody a ticket, and he tried coming out after me. That's why I went that fast, because I was sure he was trapped doing what he was doing. You follow me?
Yeah.
My thought was, this is awesome. This dude's getting a ticket, and I just laid into it. Thinking, you caught the wrong guy. And then lo and behold, it didn't quite work out that way. But that was what motivated me to drop the hammer. Oh man, I think that poor guy in the car is like, he's pulled me over for going 65. That motherfucker's going light speed. But it didn't work out that way. He actually came out after me with that guy in his car.
Really?
Yeah. That shit was crazy, bro. That was awesome. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe he came out to chase me. I just couldn't believe it. It was a long, straight stretch of highway. Long. And the next exit was a few miles away. And so I came upon him and I went by him at 135. So I got onto it before I got, before I pulled alongside him with his radar gun. But you could see the car was lit up inside. You could see the guy in the back seat. I was like, see ya. That's when you think you're smart and you're not. You're being an idiot.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can't believe looking over my life, the things that I've done or been around, and simple fact that nothing bad ever happened, getting arrested or getting, killed or
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Yeah, I've been shot at a couple of times. Yeah, I was a bad person. I lived a very fucked up life, and I made bad choices. I really had no direction, So, and I don't know. It's just weird, man. But one day I woke up, One day I woke up and I turned my life into a different direction, and I am who I am now. I could have been the same person back then, but I really, there's a reason, in all fairness, that criminal crimes or even crime cartels or whatever, they think the average Joe is a sucker. And when we went through that period of illness, that proves to you that the average person's, they are suckers. And they'll just no matter what obstacles put in front of them, they'll, rather than object and fight the wrongness of it, they'll just try to get past it, accommodate, and move on. And that's what criminals count on. Yeah.
So many of us have what's basically malfunction. There's something in our brain or our makeup or whatever that just prevents us from, being woken up, and I think, but eventually, you're lucky you got out of it. I got out of it.
Yeah.
And,
I grew up in an environment where drugs and crime were part of what was going on around me. I didn't, so, where other people's parents may have tried to get you to be a dentist, or you saw parents doing parent things, that was not really in my makeup when I was young. So it's not an excuse. Like, I don't like anybody. I'm not blaming that for my decisions, but that's the pool of data that I had to draw on. And when you're on the street at 14, it's you really, at that point, even if you're raised in a decent home, maybe you got church or places you can go, but at 14, there's really not a lot of choices left you. And it was just easier to sell drugs and hang around with people that I shouldn't have been around. And so I took that route. So I'm responsible for those decisions. But and that's what I mean. That's why you see a lot of people make decisions that don't make any sense to you. Like the senselessness of this killing, I just can't accept. From my life's experience, looking at one accused, this Koberger guy, doing the crime that they're considering, they keep telling us he did it. I just can't fit that into what we know about him. He didn't have that kind of parenting he didn't have a lack of parenting. We know from information that he stole a phone from his sister and his father turned him in. We know that he had problems with drugs and weight, and he stuck with his family. He went to a university online. He lived home. His dad came to visit him in Washington twice, right? I think, so my point is he had some parental involvement and guidance, and he was on a decent track to become a criminologist. And you see, is it possible somebody like that could have some sick switch in their head that makes them kill? Sure. But generally, when you have no guidance, no lack of, you gotta, when you come from a place where there's no one that loves you, whether they do or not, but you just don't see it, you don't feel it, you're not aware of it, you're homeless, you're out there trying to live. That's the MO. Like when I went through the divorce, they sent us both to psychologists, and or a psychiatrist. And when the psychiatrist testified, I broke out into tears. I couldn't believe what he said. And he said openly in court, he said, I know this guy's history. I've got documentation from his therapist, from his drug therapist, from his hospital. The fact that he's in this courtroom fighting for shared custody for his child, that he owns his business and married this woman that is basically a doctor, he said, is such a turnaround from where he came from that none of us should question anything he ever says. He says it's unprecedented what this man's done with his life. He said, and so to try to throw accusations or impugn his character at this point, he said, is mind-boggling to me because there's just nothing there. If this were 10 years ago, then the points being made or the arguments or the assumptions would be valid. He goes, but he's got 10 years between that guy and this guy. And there's just, he said, I can't even believe that he's in this jackpot of this divorce is so difficult and these accusations being made or even being made against him. I was stunned. I literally started crying. So, because no one had ever, I knew I changed and I had a good life. And even though I was in the middle of divorce, I still wasn't, self-destructing or medicating. I was still living my life the way you're supposed to live your life. So, yeah, that was quite stunning to experience that. But when you're 14, and Brian had a support system, and Brian's father cared. They're people. That's why I don't like watching all these kids that are hurt and kidnapped and beat and molested. I can understand how lonely and how much despair as a child when you have no life experience, how fucked up that makes you. Literally makes you fucked up to the nth degree that you could then become so dispassionate that committing crimes and hurting or killing is possible for you. Okay? But in Brian's situation, I guess when we all try to relate some of this information to our own lives, whether we realize it or not, that's what we're doing. I'm more conscious of doing that, and I don't see in his background anything that would lend us to think that he could be that fucking disturbing. You don't hear anything about animal torture or insect torture or killings or none of that.
You know who was talking about this? Is it, Andrea Burkhart, the lawyer?
Yeah.
She there's a little clip I saw. She was talking about Brian and how, they're trying to get him to be two people at the same time. The person he is and someone that you have to be a mastermind, but you also have to go crazy to do what was done.
But what mastermind drives around with his phone on 23 times? What mastermind leaves his home when he could have left his phone at home and left it on, right?
That's exactly what she said.
So no, I'm just saying, yeah. You can't make circular logic out of a square. See, and I maybe my life's experiences don't have any place in viewing this investigation, but it's all I got. And I just don't see Brian Kohlberger. I see him as a troubled youth that was on a strong turnaround, his path for his life. As a matter of fact, so strong that he was even confident to approach and interact with women, to even work with women, right? And then when the woman had an interest in him and he made it known that he wasn't interested in her. Those are very adult, proper things to do. That doesn't come from somebody with a murderous background, right?
He's not, just because he's been in court so many times, and the way he has so much self-control, and he can't be antisocial because a person who's antisocial would be doing all kinds of stupid things. And
why didn't
a psychopath? Because psychopaths don't understand, that the crazy things you're doing are going to be held against you. They don't think that way. He's not narcissistic because he
No, I suspect that if he's on the spectrum, I'm on the spectrum too. And we do, and listen, in all fairness, you guys can tell, I do have a very high opinion of myself. There's no doubt about it. I do have a very high opinion of my intelligence. There's no question about it. Pardon?
Do you really mean all that stuff you say about yourself?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, more often than not, not always, but more often than not, I am the smartest person in the room. And there's very few topics you can bring up that I can't engage with you in a sensible level. I don't give a fuck what it is. Even makeup. It doesn't matter what it is. Nails, your eyes, your glasses, your shoe. It doesn't matter what it is, because I'm fortunate to have had the time to like bathe in my main interest, which is knowledge. And so there really is very few conversations. Some scientific math formulas and theories, I could talk the theory side of it and understand what you're showing me and maybe even debate you, but I wouldn't feel uncomfortable about it. But I may not know the math formula. I wouldn't want you to describe it to me with all them fucked up letters and check marks and symbols. I don't want to see it that way. Tell me. Yeah, cars, combustion engines, jet engines, nuclear power, aircraft carriers, the planes on them, the computers on board them. None of that eludes me. And it wouldn't elude anybody if they had time like me and that was their interest. I'm not some super fucking human, but I happen to be lucky, and I have that time. I see Brian, he was focused on a career, and somehow they've been able to manipulate the public to think that that was only his interest so he could go commit mass murder. It's just, to me, it's disgusting to label an American citizen like that. Somebody like me, I can understand. Now, I would be furious that if I didn't do it, right? But I could understand. When you guys know a lot about me, I can understand you have a negative view or consider me capable of doing what's accused. I get it. You have a foundation for that based on what I fucking told you about myself. I hold no offense to that. Okay? But a guy like Brian, I just don't see it. And why are we so willing to destroy this guy's credibility as a decent person? Because the police and some fucking rogue prosecutor is telling you this? No.
Yeah. What I think happened with Brian is that, he had never lived on his own before, apparently, before moving out there.
Right.
And I think that moving out there, being on his own, and just, the new level of college.
What do you think that picture was that day of the crime? What do you think that picture was? I mean, what you're doing makes sense to why he would send a picture of his shirt buttoned all the way up when we know he's got problems with fine motor skills.
Exactly.
And he's taking a picture. I wonder if that picture was sent to his mother. Why don't they tell the whole story?
When I first saw it.
That's what I thought when I saw it. I'm thinking, I'm seeing this. That stupid piece of shit drunk turkey said there was blood in his hair.
Oh, I know. Even Howard Bloom shut down the drunk turkey when he was talking about. He said there's nothing in that picture.
Not even in the hoodies. He's like trying to be one of the boys that are out and about. Everybody's wearing these hoodies nowadays with dark clothing. Okay, he's just fitting in, and I think that's what you would see if you took the backdrop of the murders away and looked at Brian Kohlberger, the person. I don't think anybody would come to a conclusion this kid was predisposed or had a deep-seated motive to kill. I don't think you would find that in any of your examination of the kid's life. Still doesn't make him innocent. I'm not saying he didn't do it. But nobody's given us a chance, and the public itself hasn't taken the chance to look at him for him. That's why I suggest, and I'm almost positive he's going to be on the stand. Only he can humanize himself.
Yeah, I hope he can. People don't understand when because they're saying like this was it, I guess have to be his first, quadruple homicide. But most people have never been in a situation where they actually had made a decision and were in the process of killing someone in self-defense.
Yes.
And so they don't understand how much you can do it, but you gotta really be driven to it. And then after, like, if you didn't have to do it, there's no way. Most nobody would do it. Even a lot of tough guys and thugs and stuff can't do it. But for someone to go in there, the only what I'm getting at is, if you did it to the first one, and this is the first time you've done anything like this, that is going to be so disgusting to you. What you've just done. You wouldn't be able to continue.
Well, no, we're hearing that he sat down in Zaina's room, and then we're hearing that he actually carved up Ethan's legs.
Oh, Ethan?
What sport did Ethan play?
Oh, he played all sports. He played everything.
What was he big?
There, I think he was basketball.
What about soccer?
Well, his mom said he played all sports, so he was always whatever was in season he was doing. I mean, he was like 6'4", in athletics, so.
Yeah. Well, so why would someone carve up his legs? What was he? And I thought immediately maybe the kid was a soccer player and somebody connected to that. Took a burn by him. Basketball would make sense. Took a burn by him. Why would you carve up a guy that you fatally wounded immediately and then you carved his legs up? Why would you do that?
No, because maybe someone else was there.
It sounds like a personal connection to him.
Exactly. Yeah. Or.
Yeah, and that's what I was pointing out. Simply so. Yeah, or go ahead.
Or, because we don't know the order they went in or where they were. Xana could have been sitting there. They made her watch that. I mean, I don't think it was one person to do this, but it's either personal or business. I mean, it's funny. It comes down to that, like in the movies. But was this personal or was it business? And what I think is, from talking to some people, I think that they stumbled onto something in that session that nobody was, that they weren't expecting. And I know it doesn't have to be, drugs or however you don't have to get it, but it doesn't have to be that party favors or whatever. Because you got that guy, Scott Perky. He had that front company there. That was the address of the front company.
Who's front company? Daniels?
Scott Perky. He's with Team Idaho Real Estate that owns 2022.
Oh, okay.
Owned it. Yeah, so he's business partners with them. And for 20 years, he had King Road was the address of his business. And his business never did any business for 20 years, but it was called Small World Software. Okay. So, like that, it's obvious. Like anybody,
I want to say this. I understand that his throat was cut. That's what I understand happened to Ethan. And if that's true, then there's a direct connection in type of murder that would connect to Kopacka. Remember, he was trained special forces. He had a lot of stories he told his friends. I'm not saying Kopacka did this, but I'm saying that that's the first hard piece of information that would lead me to that, in addition to something being said in the court where a potential possible perpetrator that can't be held to account. Okay? There's a potential additional perpetrator that can't be held to account, and Kopacka is dead. You can't hold a dead man to account. So those two particular points make me suspicious that there is an involvement by Kopacka. And here's the point, though, that I want people to hear. In addition to saying Brian was there, you have to show evidence that he and only he wielded that knife. And if this person that can't be held to account is Brent Kopacka, a known trained Army Special Forces guy, okay, would be more likely the first person you would say did the actual killing. Okay? So how can you then only charge Brian Koberger with the killing? Do you follow? In other words, you have to show that he committed the entire crime on his own.
Right, yeah. And that's what I was saying, that, I can't imagine Brian Koberger even doing that for one person, but and the same thing with like John or Jack D. Like if he went in there in a rage against Haley, he would stop like almost immediately and just run away, or he wouldn't go after the others. But yeah, you're right, Kopacka, that would make sense, because I've always felt like the person who did this had to either be business and this is what they do for a living, or someone just became psychotic, for some reason.
Or it had to be Ethan was the target. See, if you want to try to be analytical about this, you have to consider why was he taken out so efficiently, and was he walked in on by Zaina? And then now you've got stupid saying they came down the stairs, went up the stairs, and back down the stairs. Reverse the crime. Put the killer on the second floor first, attacking and killing Ethan. Walked in by Zaina, fought, killed Zaina, sat down, went to leave, and the girls came and then the girls from upstairs were coming to see what was happening, and he chased them back up the stairs and killed them in a second. That's also possible here. Reverse the order of incident. We don't know. It's a guess that they claim. The claim is she went upstairs. You make that guess because of Dylan's story, but I don't think Dylan's telling us anything that really happened.
No, I don't know. I mean, you have to throw it out because see, this is one thing that I see that people are doing is the information they got first was the 911 call, okay? And then after that, they got the grand jury testimony where it contradicts the 911 call. So people are trying to say that the grand jury testimony overrides and invalidates the 911 call, which is true, but they're not following through that the 911 call invalidates the grand jury testimony. You have to throw all of that out.
Yeah.
Nothing you can do with it. It's forgettable, it's over. Sorry. I
See,
don't even know if they were in the house. Do you think that they were even in there?
Who? The girls?
Yeah, the two survivors.
I think they were both in the house.
You think they're in there?
Yeah, and I think Dylan had prior understanding that this was going to happen. And I just posted in chat, the attack on the legs was a byproduct of a struggle with Xana. Xana fought. She lost fingers, according to what we've been. I don't know if it's true, but she fought fought back and was killed. Did she fight? Did she end up on the bed? Was some of the knife wounds that she had, was it passed through into the legs? Was it a miss? And it's possible. So what I'm saying is, when you look at that crime scene, the interpretation of it can be so many broad ways and different ways that it may have happened.
Oh yeah.
Right. Let's see here. Someone's
I'm
asking.
just saying that Kobaka fits because not only is he highly trained and experienced at it, but he does become psychotic at times.
Right. All right. Someone wanted to call in here. Let me see. What is it?
Oh, okay.
Believe wants to call in. I hate that word, believe. But you're awesome. I appreciate you coming in and listening to my rants and sharing the stuff you've shared was very good, very observant. I appreciate it very much. And we'll hang up on you and let Believe see if they can sneak in for a few minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Talk to you.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
All right. Believe you got the number. It's on the screen. 585-454-9932. Why do you hate the name? I don't like the word believe, not because people believe in information rather than putting any thought to it. That word believe is just so misused. It's one of the ways I think humanity's being brainwashed with the word believe. But feel free, please ring in. I'm not going to take your name. It's just that name just conjures up different thoughts I process. So let me see here. Yeah, please call in. I did have the other caller step down. Your number is obviously kept secret. There's no, I don't think there's any way for anybody online here to know what your number is. By the way, I have this set up. But 454-9932, area code 585-454-9932. Give it a ringy dingy. Hey, thanks for calling. Who do we got here? Is this Believe?
This is actually Ashley.
Ashley.
Yeah,
How are you, Ashley?
I'm doing well, thank you.
And what would you like to shout out?
Well, I would like to ask if you or anyone has learned that whether or not Kaylee did attend a party with Dylan at any time during the weekend, like Dylan had wanted her to come back to Moscow to do with her.
I thought that she,
Is that,
I thought that she did. She was her number one at some sorority
Mhm.
gig.
mhm.
I don't think there's anything to tell us that she wasn't.
Because I wonder if there was another reason why Dylan wanted her back that weekend. And maybe because she had different plans for her that weekend. I don't know.
let me. There is another caller that I expected that they're calling in.
Okay.
Let me see if I can't get them in here. Yeah, they're on hold. But they why don't you jump down real quick? Let me see what they want to say, and then you can be brought back and call back.
It's talking to me?
Who do I got? Who's that?
Believe.
Who? Oh, it's Believe. Oh, and I got the.
Believe, the one-
Hang on one second. I want to try something. Hang on. Ashley.
Yep.
Okay, okay. I can keep you both online, but I got to switch back and forth. So I'm gonna switch over to Believe. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Hello. Hello, Believe. What happened? Unknown. Yeah, Believe. Believe? Are you there? Believe? Are you there? Let me see. Ashley, are you there? Ain't that some weird shit? All right, I'm gonna dump both. I'm gonna dump both. Believe, try to call back in. I'm using Google Voice, and it allowed me to pick both of you up, but then it objected. I love electronics too. I think it's pretty awesome that you can communicate around the globe instantly like this. It's just like completely awesome. And whoever calls in, whether your phone number shows to me or not, I delete all phone calls after the show. I don't save any of your phone numbers, or it gets deleted right off my queue, so that the screen comes up fresh anytime I go to put that phone in use here on the stream. Because I don't really want to know your number or any personal location, anything like that. I just don't want to. No, yeah, but Believe, call back in. I had to drop both calls. Yeah, call again. I'm using Google Voice in connection with StreamYard, YouTube, Rumble, and Twitter, all at the same time. And yeah, it gets weird, man. Why don't you want? I don't know what you're saying. Call again. Oh, it might have dropped. No, it didn't drop. Let me refresh this. There it is. Share. Okay. Was Bethany Funk even in the house that night? We're told she was. We're definitely been told that she was. 585. Let me put it back up. Hang on. 585-454. Damn it, look at that. Are you kidding me or what? I had to close that window out. I can't believe it did that. I had it set so that it wouldn't show the screen. What kind of nonsense is this? All right. All calls have been deleted. Let me now present screen share, window, voice calls, share. If it shows up, I can now delete it. Okay, there you go. Ashley or Believe, feel free to call back in 585-454-9932. Technical difficulties and my third world IT professional is unavailable at this time of night, so I'm kind of screwed. Now, I don't know why they're not the main suspects either. They're a menagerie of chaos, and it makes little or no sense to anybody with two brain cells. Yeah, there's a whole lot of things that Bethany or that Dylan Mortensen didn't do. There's so much shit that's went on between those two, or even Dylan Mortensen mainly, that nothing she says makes any sense at all. It doesn't. She's painting a square trying to make a circle, and once you make a square, you can't really make circular logic with it, and that's pretty much where she's at. It's kind of effed up. If Dylan and Bethany were young men, yeah, if they were young men, they would have been sequestered immediately into secret locations and questioned. Dylan is an intelligent whack job. All right, well, it's 12:30, and I messed up with the callers, so I want to apologize to Believe and to Ashley. I'll hang out here for a couple more minutes if either one of you two want to call in, or anyone else for that matter. Dylan's timeline solves this, in your opinion? I think Dylan's lies are what gave them the focus of a car being involved. The idea that Dylan starts with this story at 4 a.m., I think belies the actual truth. I think that's the very first lie when it comes to the timeline. And it's that timeline that the cops became so hyper-focused on that they forced all of this information to fit a timeline that Dylan Mortensen invented. And that's the very beginning of her story. I completely, I find it to be, no. I don't know who she added at what was it, 3:50 a.m. or 2:50 a.m. I forget the time. I just don't see that if you notice, how convenient is it that they found a vehicle that fits the timeline that she said started at 4 a.m., but it didn't start at 4 a.m. It didn't start until after 4:07 a.m., which is really 4:07 and 40-something seconds when the car parked. Therefore, no matter what this person did, there's no way they got into that home before 4:09, which leaves them 11 minutes to do what they did. Less than that, because they had to then extricate themselves from the house and then get into a vehicle and leave. So from 4:09 to 4:20 becomes from 4:09 to 4:18. You're talking 9 minutes to do this. I listen. There's nothing that Dylan Mortensen said that can be believed. There's nothing Dylan Mortensen said that makes sense, and there's nothing in her actions or behavior that's comprehensible by anybody at all. This whole listen, at about 4 o'clock, there was. Can I tell you what happened at about 4 o'clock? No. My suspicion is that that crime was complete by 4 o'clock. And my suspicion that her movement to the basement was because there were perpetrators either still coming in or still there trying to do a cleanup of anything in that house that could link them to that crime. That's how I look at this particular situation. There's nothing that woman says that makes any bit of sense at all. Nothing. And that dog barking from 417 forward. The dog that the cops suggest was outside barking and then brought into the home and found that next day upstairs in a bedroom clean. Was that dog didn't have any blood on it because it had been washed? Of course, that's got to be the answer. It's got to be the answer. The dog was cleaned. And everything they could think of was picked up and cleaned. Any of the tracking of blood was and they missed a footprint outside of Dylan's door. Right? Now, they found blood on a railing. That tells me the perpetrator went down the stairs to the first floor. I'm sorry. There's just too much evidence to make the argument that the people that committed this crime not Brian Koberger. And B, if it was Brian Koberger, he wasn't there alone. And C, he was given they or them or him was given voluntary access to the home. The 4 o'clock timeline just doesn't work for me. I'm sorry. Yeah, I saw that. The guy was in jail for 35 years. You're absolutely right. All right, folks. I hate to do it. I got so many people in the stream, but I do have an appointment tomorrow morning. I've got to be up and out the door by 7 a.m. to meet the appointment. And it's going to be, it's 12:32 on the East Coast where I'm located. The fact that the judge is going to have her allowed on the stand for her testimony to be heard is ridiculous. No, I think that's absolutely important that she do be put up there. I don't disagree with the judge's ruling on that at all. She's not going to testify to the identity of Brian Koberger. As a matter of fact, in every interaction, the two interactions she had with images of Brian Koberger, she couldn't identify him as the person she saw that night. Her testimony is extraordinarily important, especially if you want to set up alternative perpetrators, especially if you want exculpatory evidence from the main witness. She's extraordinarily important to put up there. So, yeah, folks, it's time. I'm going to have to, let me turn things off progressively here because, we all want to be progressive. But I can't thank people enough for coming in. I appreciate it. I hope Steve Goncalves catches wind of this somehow, or that fucking twit drunk turkey that shit all over his friend Blue, from what I understand. If not, well, I'd be surprised if he didn't. Doing everything he can to make himself part of Dateline or one of these other places. That's what he's doing. And that fat bastard's useless. He wants to be a Howard Bloom, another worthless tit on a bull. Who's the other guy out there talking all that shit like they know? Coming up with motives and how could that dog be in that room with the door open? How long was that dog in that room? You can't establish that. But I suggest to you that dog was back in that room prior to the police arriving on the scene. That dog, I suggest, was cleaned. It was cleaned. It didn't just sit in the room with its door open. It didn't just sit in its room with the door of its deceased owner dead and bled out. It just sat in that room like, oh, yo, what's up? What up? I'm just a dog. Unbelievable, man. And Steve Goncalves, it's stunning at how forcibly and willingly ignorant you've allowed yourself to become. I don't know how you convinced yourself to become that kind of fucking ignorant, but congratulations. I guess the best of you has come to play. And sadly for, the public, it's the ignorance in you that came out. Yeah, but the dog wouldn't jump up on you to check you. The dog wouldn't come near. I mean, it's hard to think that your dog wouldn't try to put his nose against you or step in some blood or try to jump up to see if you're okay. I mean, this is a young woman that loves that dog. Probably like most young women love dogs like they love babies. There isn't a woman I know that's had a baby that didn't have a dog just before getting a baby. That's usually how it happens when you shack up with a woman. The dog comes first, then the baby. And the women love their dogs. And so I don't know that any breed of dog would have been completely unconnected to the crime scene, completely, when both his door and the victim's, the owner, the love of her life, the love of his life, that door is wide open. I don't buy it. I don't buy that. It doesn't fit. This is one dog. I mean, could it do that? Sure, but that's, again, you got to go to the outside of statistics for a dog to do that. I just can't imagine. Yeah, so we'll see how this all comes out as Steve comes out and gives us more damning facts on Brian Kohlberger on the Drunk Turkey Show. Fucking jerk off. Anyway, folks, thank you for joining in on my rant. Thanks for the people that called in. I lost a caller to get a caller and lost 2 callers, and actually in total of 3. It really didn't work out well for me on the call-in, but we'll be back again. Until then, be good or be bad, but if you're going to be bad, don't get caught. And that's all we got for you tonight. We'll talk with you.